Original Joe's in Walnut Creek. It's going to open late May, early June, and the dinner will set up for you over the summer. And then, of course, Raf comes up with a random contestant, and we have so many people guessing, probably the most we've had all year today. He picks one person out to get dinner for two in North Beach at Soto Mare, which is a lot of fun, too. So glad to be able to do these contests for everybody and have fun with it. That's what baseball's all about as we get ready for baseball today. So it's Verlander, Kikuchi. The Giants will be coming home to face the Brewers and four pretty good pitchers. And then it's Texas and Bruce Bochy and the Brandon Crawford celebration over the weekend. So good baseball coming up. Good baseball coming up. Raf says our stream is now working. Michael, thank you so much. And yes, that's me. There I am. All right, more coming up. Mark Simon from Sports Info Solutions is next, right here on this beautiful Sunday, Easter morning, as we got baseball for you right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Fans Gene Bagato checked in from the Tides up in Bodega Bay, and he reports that with the beginning of spring, things are looking pretty good on the Sonoma coast. At the Tides Wharf, the freshest seafood available is being offered for guests to enjoy either in the restaurant or in the fish market to take home. Up at the inn, large, comfortable rooms with great views away, as well as the Bayview Dining Room featuring the special creations of the great chef Rennie Madrid. And with Easter coming on April 20th, special menus are being planned at both the Tides Wharf restaurant and the Inn's Bayview restaurant as well. So if you're looking for a great getaway, think no further than the Tides Wharf and the Inn at the Tides in scenic Bodega Bay. Fans, it's great to have Grant Power back with us. He is the president and CEO of Nations. Grant, what is going on with Nations in the Bay Area?
It's been a really exciting year of bringing in new members of the Nation family and seeing our brand branch out over our Northern California market. Lots of work. I've learned a ton, even though I've been here for a while. And we have a very busy summer of opening up new stores. I'd say the other big update, which is always true as spring is right around the corner, is that our strawberry products are just a couple weeks away. So whether it's strawberry pancakes, strawberry French toast, or a very famous strawberry cheesecake, or the strawberry tart, that's been part of our nation's tradition for decades. We have the same supplier coming up from Oxnard down there in Ventura County, California, and really excited to get those products into our customers' mouths.
Well, great to hear it. Grant, if one wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
Give me a call on my cell phone, 510-612-0036, area code 510-612-0036. Give me a call directly, and we'd love to give you some guidance and then support you in your introduction to the Nations family.
Wow, fabulous. Grant Power, President, CEO of Nations. Have a good day. Thanks, Grant.
My pleasure. Great to be on.
Mark Simon. Mark, I love you, man.
Oh, no! All right. That's the introduction for Mark Simon of Sports Info Solutions. He's a big Met fan, so we got the trumpets going for Diaz. The Mets are doing pretty well. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, with Mark. Mark A. Simon says on Twitter, Mark, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am well. The Mets are very well, and the Giants seem to be very, very well.
Yeah, boy, interesting. And, of course, the Yankee series, they ended up taking 2 or 3 there. And the Philly series was a tough series. It really was. And we'll talk about this changeup stuff. The Sanchez struck out 12, and Luzardo gave him trouble. The lefties are giving him a little trouble now, and they're going to see another one today in Kikuchi. So are they having changeup nightmares here?
They haven't been great against it, and it's funny because it's like 4 in a row now because you had Sanchez first, and he dominated. And then you had Tyler Anderson of the Angels. And if you look at last year's statistics and you measure pitch effectiveness, those are your 2 best changeup pitchers in all of baseball last year. Then you follow that up with Kyle Hendricks last night, who has typically been a Giants killer, although they got to him at least a little bit. And now today, I'm looking at Yusei Kikuchi, and this isn't something that he was necessarily super known for before, but this year, opponents are 1 for 18 against his changeup this season.
Well, yeah, I'm telling you, you watch, the Giants strike out a lot, and a lot of it is on pitches that are down and away, and that's what the changeup will do. And their timing is off. What do you think of the umpire last night in the first inning for Kyle Hendricks? I thought he was going to start to cry after a while. He gave Adames 7 pitches, 6 were strikes, and only 2 were called. And then Chapman got a pitch up and knocked it out. But the umpire, I know we talk about umpires a lot, but this guy, he was really tight last night.
Yeah, that's funny because, his one tight spot historically is low to right-handed hitters. He's tough on the pitcher for those. Other than that, he wasn't necessarily trending in any way that would have made you think that was going to happen. Les Diaz today, by the way. And I've noticed, too, that a lot of people don't, seem to like Les Diaz, but he's not, a bad umpire necessarily. It's just kind of I think he might be slightly confrontational. I feel like he's willing to go at it with people, but he's not necessarily a bad umpire. He can be a little tough on pitchers, bottom of the zone, but not he's not as bad as some of the other guys that are out there, certainly.
Well, we'll see him today, and there's certain umpires that attract that, and who knows what people think about it. Could be racial issues as well. That they don't give him the benefit of the doubt. I was thinking about that. Emmett Ashford, the first African-American umpire, his anniversary was just recently, and he in Anaheim. I think that's where his first game was. But umpires of color have fought that their entire career.
They have, and I don't want to make it out like Les Diaz isn't a bad umpire. I just feel like managers will willingly go at him for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We'll
Landon Roop last night. Boy, what the curveball, and it's coming. And I've said this before. He needs some other pitches, but last night the curveball was magic for him.
So I'm going to date myself 30 years here, maybe a little more. But I
don't know what you're talking about. It's okay.
I was thinking about what I was going to say when you brought that up, and the first thing that I thought of was Saturday Night Live and the Mike Myers character, Linda Richmond, where she's like butter. His curveball, it's like butter. You just want more and more and more of it. The last two starts, almost identical. I think it's something like one hit. In both cases, the hit was a home run. But 10, 11 outs. He's racking up outs. He's throwing strikes with it. It's become his signature pitch at this point. And I liked that Bob kept him in last night. Like, I thought that was a really big deal. That to me was like him testing the guy to say, okay, can you get me an extra inning, or am I always going to be taking you out in the 5th or the 6th? And Landon Roop yesterday passed the test.
Yeah, well, with the 17 games in 17 days, they're absolutely doing that. Trying to get an extra inning out of the bullpen. Even Trevino will go 2, and I like the way Melvin's handling the bullpen, but clearly he needs some innings out of these guys. Well, I'm watching the game last night, and I said this to Raf in the open. I'm looking at Mike Trout. I'm saying to myself, is he really a Hall of Famer? I never really see him do anything. And as I was just thinking, I swear, I was just thinking that the next pitch he takes, it's off his kneecap, and he hits it 115 to left. And his next at bat, 108 to left, and he almost knocked it out in the 9th inning. And he showed me something that hitters don't do, and that is some bat that he's got. Now, I know he's hurt and he's chasing stuff all over the place, striking out. But when I saw him hit those 2 home runs, that was different for me.
Yeah, he's someone that, unfortunately, it seems as if his very best has passed him because of all the injuries that he's racked up, and they've now moved him to right field. And for the people that were thinking that he was going to hit 700 home runs, you have to completely reset on that. But as you saw last night, he can still do what he can do. And yes, Marty, he is a Hall of Famer. I look forward to voting for him when I get my vote and when he retires, which will happen. And I'm just looking at the comparables for him statistically through age 32. Dick Allen, Duke Snyder, Tim Tomei, Sheffield, Bonds, Chipper, Albert Bell, Manny, Ralph Kiner, Vlad, all guys that would be that are either our Hall of Famers or would be if not for other things in their checkered past.
Yeah, when I saw him first come up, he was Mickey Mantle. And
Yes.
I swear to you, the way he glided across center field, I said, that's Mickey Mantle.
That was his comp, 23-24 by stats. Yep.
Yeah, so, well, he, as soon as I thought it last night, I said, nah, maybe not. Boom, gone. And that was pretty good. And he was very happy last night. Good for him. A good crowd last night. How about the crowds in Anaheim?
Yes, for sure. I guess it's Star Wars weekend, so that was a big deal for them these days. If you promote Star Wars or Minecraft, people tend to come for it.
I don't know what Minecraft is. I haven't figured that out.
Neither do I. I'm a 50-year-old man. I don't know what Minecraft is. I think there are movies. I think it's a game of some sort. I'm sure I'm going to get mocked for this, but I don't play. I'm not familiar. Me and you are the oldies.
That's at Baseball Marty on Twitter. Let me have it. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Verlander today, his 5th start as a Giant, has not distinguished himself so far. He says he's okay. What do you think?
Verlander's another oldie. I think that's a good segue to talk about him. He doesn't have the swing and miss on the fastball anymore. Like that's the thing. He got one on the 51 four-seamers that he threw. He doesn't throw at 98. He throws at 95. He does have swing and miss.
Mark, let's Mark got a little fuzzy there. Let's call him back and get his connection straight. I want to hear what he's got to say about Verlander. This is going to be interesting because according to Verlander, everything he's doing is fine, and he's tough. Look, he's tough, and you love him on the mound and his leadership and everything, but you do need more than 4 innings or 5 innings out of him. So we'll get Mark Simon back on the phone, and we'll talk to him about that. I know Mark wants to talk about Matt Chapman as well in the game that he played last night. Mark, go ahead about Verlander. You were talking about him.
I was saying he doesn't throw 98 anymore. He throws 95, and as a result, the four-seam fastball doesn't get swings and misses. And I think that takes away considerably from his effectiveness, as it should. He's an oldie, as we were just talking about oldies. He's in his early 40s. On a positive note, the other pitchers are getting decent swing and missage, I guess, which is a positive for him. Again, going back, negative note, he can't put a guy away in a situation where he has to put a guy away these days. He's faced 21 hitters with runners in scoring position, and only one has struck out, and he's given up 8 hits, and that's not going to get it done. And you hope that he can give it something, but right now he's kind of the weak link.
Yeah, interesting. He is facing an Angel team that, boy, is challenged offensively.
Yeah.
So it's sort of set up for him to have his game today. You would think. I know the Angels are over 500, boy, but to watch that lineup, and of course they face good Giants pitching. Look, let's face it, the Giant bullpen is fabulous, and the starters, even though the ERA is not great lately, they still give you a decent game. So I think Verlander's set up against the Angels today. Do you think? Do you agree?
This is as good of a setup for him as I think he can get. I don't think the Angels are that good. I think they are largely a Mike Trout one-trick team, and I think that guy like Kyron Paris, like with the super swings where he's swinging like out of his shoes on every pitch. Joey L swings pretty wildly. Soler swings pretty wildly. Ohapi strikes out a lot, although he may not be playing today. This is a setup for him, ideally, to have a good day.
Yeah, you'd think so. Now they got to get to Kikuchi and the changeup. Well, my daughter Bonnie has texted me and said that Noah and Ruby, of course her children and my grandchildren, will teach you and I about Minecraft. All right, we're in.
I see lack of literacy on that one.
All right, so we have a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old teaching us. All right, not bad. All right, Matt Chapman.
Yes.
He made a play last night. Look, I swear to you, he looked like it was the old Ernie Lombardi. He was so slow they used to play him in left field. Chapman is so deep, and he threw. I forget who it was. Was it Ohapi at first base? I forget who he threw out. Ball was hit behind the bag, and he made one of the best plays he's made.
Yeah, he was playing really deep. Dave was talking about it on the radio that he was playing 133 feet from home plate, which, if you think about it, is running from home plate to third base and then running halfway from home plate to third base. That's a long, long way to go. And he made that look so easy, and it was like this perfect throw that was right to the first baseman's eyes. He couldn't have done it any better. So I looked up, and Dave was insistent that he plays the deepest third base. For a right-handed hitter, because you're going to play deeper for a righty than you are for a lefty if you're a third baseman, it's him and Ryan McMahon are the two deepest. And he was playing about 5 feet deeper than he usually plays. I thought was interesting. And then the shallowest is actually Cabrian Hayes of the Pirates. And I just thought that was kind of neat, that you have essentially the 3 best defensive third basemen in baseball, in Chapman, McMahon, and Cabrian Hayes. And Chapman and McMahon play the position one way, and Cabrian Hayes basically dares you to hit the ball past him and comes in much closer. I just thought that was an interesting contrast that I'll certainly try and bring up again when they play the Pirates.
You know, it's funny about defensive discussions about third basemen. There's something about third basemen that are magic on defense. Maybe you don't think of second baseman that way, and shortstops, yeah, maybe a couple. But, boy, you get great defensive third basemen, and you remember them forever.
Yeah, it's because of the throws, I think.
Okay.
When you can throw it 90 across the diamond from 133 feet away or whatever he is, that's really impressive. And the second base, you can dive to make a play, but the throw to first base is really short. So third base just, I think, impresses you more by the eyes because of the distance you have to throw the ball after you make a great play.
Okay, good point. Yeah, Matt Chapman, boy, I'll tell you something. He's terrific. I must
really
tell you, he is terrific. That ball is hit to third. I don't even look up anymore. I just write it down. I'm not kidding you. I don't even think about it. And he made a play.
You still keep score?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What?
Well, especially if I'm on the air, I keep score.
Nice. Even Tim Kirkson.
I love keeping score. It keeps you in the game.
Yes,
so,
for sure.
Absolutely. yeah, when you look back to see what happened, you can figure it out. How many hitters have come up, and how many strikeouts, and how many runners in scoring position. Yeah, keeping score is definitely cool. It's definitely cool.
Yep.
The Brewers come in next, and something I started looking in my book. I keep the starting pitching every day. I've been keeping that since the 70s, and I looked at the Brewers starting pitching. They've got guys, Patrick, Priester, Quintana, Peralta. They're not bad. I don't know if they hit it all, but the Giants are going to see some starting pitching this week.
Yeah, they haven't hit. That's been their issue. It's funny, you take the three pitchers that the Giants are going to see. They're going to see Priester, Quintana, and Peralta. And those guys have an ERA combined this year in 50 innings of about 1.5. And if you look at the rest of the team has an ERA in the 5s. Although that's largely a couple of guys that have really struggled. But they have three really good starters at this moment in time in those three guys. And, yeah, they can pitch. Quintana, I think, definitely had something left. He had a very good season last season. He's on the right team because he doesn't strike guys out at all. And he still gets outs because they have a very good defensive team. Churio has slugged this year. He's hit 5 home runs. But the rest of the team, Sal Frelick has hit. Bryce Terang has hit. But if you look at the rest of the lineup, they're sputtering. Yelich is hitting sub 200. They don't have third base figured out. Now they move their keys to shortstop. Yeah.
What's their bullpen like?
So their bullpen right now is Trevor McGill, because they traded apparently Devin Williams at the right time, closing.
Oh, boy.
And then they have two guys that have been really good. And Joel Payamp, who was good last year, has not been particularly good for them. But look out for Koenig and Uribe. They have both been very good in the setup role.
Yeah, I have a Yankee fan friend who texts me every other day about Delvin Williams.
Yeah, Devin Williams didn't have a good day yesterday.
Hey, come on, four runs.
Yep.
Yeah, in 1 inning. Yeah, so that's the former Brewer, another changeup guy. Well, we'll let you go with this. How are the Mets looking? It seems like, Lindor, another dramatic walk-off home run. Alonso seems to RBIs all the time. How you feeling about your Mets?
I think they've been great. Alonso's slugging 12-20. Lindor hit the walk-off home run on Friday. It was a really awesome, kind of New York kind of moment. They're still missing guys. Like Minaya is out, but Senga's been almost unhittable so far. David Peterson's been very good. McGill has been very good. It's a little interesting in the bullpen still, but Minter's been good. Kranick's been good. Lee Garrett, Brazaban have all been really good. Stanek. The thing with the Mets is the same thing that I would say about the Knicks, who won yesterday. That the season doesn't really start for the Mets until they get to the DS and a Game 4 situation, because they're a highly likely playoff team, in my opinion. But you just kind of know that. The Knicks, we knew that the Knicks were going to be a 3 or a 4 seed for literally the entire season. So their season really starts. If presumably they beat Detroit, it starts when they play Boston in the second round. That's when they're going to be judged. The Mets aren't going to be judged too much by this regular season, no matter how good it is. Even if they win, 100 games, it'll be great for them. But I think that the Mets season gets judged by how they do in October.
Well, they better get in, because my eye is still on the Braves, and the Phillies, as miserable as they looked against the Giants this week, still are the Phillies. So the Mets are in the mix, I'll give you that.
I speak with a high degree of confidence on the feeling that the Mets are going to make the playoffs.
Boy, that's early in the season. That's pretty impressive, right? For you.
Yes, I don't ever do that. I never speak with optimism about any of the teams that I follow closely.
Boy, you swept up with Mets and Lindor. All right. We'll talk to you next week. Next week we get Texas in town, and look forward to talking to you. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Marty. Yep.
Pleasure. That is Mark Simon. Mark A. Simon says on Twitter. All right, Bruce Jenkins next. We'll even talk a little basketball with Bruce when he comes back right after this.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Fans, great news. If you enjoy Original Joe's, there's a new Original Joe's coming to Walnut Creek, opening late May, early June. Let me tell you a little bit about it. It is going to be fabulous. 300 seats, 13,000 square feet, 3 outdoor patios with 90 outside seats, a full exhibition counter and cocktail lounge. You know, that's the best. And the cocktail lounge will have a multitude of TVs to watch the Giants and the dreaded A's if you want to. It's the first opening of an Original Joe's in 70 years in a new market, and this is really going to be something. 9 years since opening in Westlake, so this is going to be fabulous. It will have a private dining room with accommodations up to 40 people, with its own private bar and patio. It fits Walnut Creek like a glove. This is going to be something else. I can't wait to do some events at the new Original Joe's in Walnut Creek, coming late May, early June.
Look through the window of the Original Joe's on North Beach and you'll see two guys at the counter talking ball. Time for you to listen in to their conversation. Marty Lurie and the SF Chronicles' Bruce Jenkins are looking through the window of baseball. Sponsored by Original Joe's of North Beach and Westlake on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back as we get ready for Giants baseball. We're joined by Bruce Jenkins on this Easter morning. Bruce, good morning.
Hey, Marty, how you doing?
I'm doing fine this morning. Boy, that was a game last night, I want to tell you. First of all, it was over in 2 hours, which was, I thought it was Addy Joss pitching for, But honestly, it was a good game last night.
Well, Roop came out just, the curveball was sharp, and it looked like nobody was going to touch him. And of course, Trout he's a whole different kind of cat. He got the curveball and he got the changeup, but that was it. Another really encouraging start from Roop, and he throws so many curveballs, and he can throw them on any count. And you kind of expect him to throw the pitch, but it's just so good. I mean, a right-hand hitter, unless he gets a little too much plate, isn't going to do much with that. And Trout is a special guy. I was actually glad to see Trout sort of come back into prominence. I mean, these last couple of years have been rough on him. The Angel fans are like, trade him. He's no good. All the social media junk. But we know he's a great player. But Roop was the story, and that was great. And another good night for Chapman, too.
Boy, I was saying this to Mark Simon. There's something about third baseman and defense that we remember, maybe more so than a shortstop even, or a second baseman. There's just something about that. It's almost like a slow motion play. And Mark pointed this out. I'll throw it out to you. He said it's the throw because it's across the diamond, and it's got to be a bullet to first base because you're always out of position.
Yeah, I mean, it's Manny Machado's the master of that. But you're right. I mean, I think about third baseman, and I immediately think about guys like Greg Nettles and Doug Rader. I'm not the greatest of all time, but not to mention somebody like Brooks Robinson or Machado. But it's a great position because it calls for just astounding reactions on balls that are hit right to you. If you're moving to your right, that throw is one of the toughest throws to make in baseball, and you got to have some wheels to charge bunts. It just requires so many great athletic traits and the really good ones. The Giants have the best guy in the game right now, and what a treat that is.
Yeah, and plus he plays so deep, and that's what Mark was saying. The throw from deep third, runners can run, and he throws like a bullet to first base. That is the most impressive part.
Yeah, on his knees.
How about that? Come on,
Yeah,
he was trying to fix a divot. He was Arnold Palmer. He was fixing a divot, and Walker threw the ball, and he fell down, and still got O'Hoppe at first base.
Yeah, that's a real test of your arm if you don't have your legs underneath you. But he got it all upper body over there, and of course it's right on the money. He's just every night a guy like that's going to do something, and that's just a great thing for the Giants. It sets a great defensive tone.
Yeah, worth it. He's worth it. He really is.
Yeah.
He's worth it. Well, the other one is Jung-Hoo Lee. I said it last week. I'll say it again. He's going to lead. He's going to lead the National League in hitting, and he's starting to look like a very, very special kind of player.
Boy, he really is. I mean, and he got a hit last night when they were kind of hard to come by. But the previous night, he gets two more hits when they're shut down by Tyler Anderson. He gets to both sides of the field. He's just every time up there. The thing is, you got to play him straight. He can dead pull you down the line. He can slice you down the left field line. If you leave third base open, he'll bunt on you. You got to hit that way, and he's got some power. And he's got charisma without doing anything. I mean, he's just to look at him, people fall in love with him, and of course he plays with a lot of flair. He might lead the league in hitting. I mean, I was looking at the leaders, which we like to do on Sundays, and remember last year there were only 7 300 hitters in the big leagues as far as qualifying for the batting title, the plate appearances. Well, right now there's 33 guys in the 300.
Wow.
And
wow.
Jung-Hoo is right there at 355. Judge is on top at 397. Unbelievable. But, Goldschmidt and Alonso and Tatis and Corbin Carroll, it's a familiar look where some of your favorite guys are hitting over 300, and I hope it lasts.
Yeah, I think so. And this Brandon Donovan of St. Louis, he's hitting the ball 361. And Goldschmidt was a surprise for me when I looked at it, 367 for Goldie. In New York. But this Lee, he's to me, I was thinking about it. I know it's early for all-stars for the Giants, but Chapman should be an all-star, Lee should be an all-star, Walker should be an all-star, and Logan Webb ought to be an all-star.
Oh, yeah. I don't think you can argue any of that. I mean, Walker is truly in his element right now. He's so hard to figure out, and tremendous closer. I'm sure he's going to have that probably all year the way things are going, but Chapman for sure, and Chung-Hoo Lee. There's always a lot of good outfielders in the mix, but he's really getting some notice, and the numbers are there. But when you watch him play, you realize how much he gives a team, just the energy and all the ways he can beat you. And he doesn't really take a night off. He's always doing something out there.
Yep, and he can lay a bunt down too now, which he started to do. But he is starting to go the other way intentionally, not just swinging late. He's starting to go that way, which I said was going to be the big difference for him. What do you think of the ball club? They're 15-7, and there are some spots in the lineup, Bruce. Even Flores has slowed down a lot. Adames, Wade, Bailey, but heck, somehow they're scoring a ton of runs, and they're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, you look at those averages. In Bailey 161, Wade 091, Adames 190, Ramos 216. But I mean, it's more typified by Flores, who's hitting 213, but he's leading the league in RBIs. You really don't know what you're going to get with the Giants. They could get completely shut out by 35-year-old Anderson, or pile on the runs and run away with it. Which is, of course, that's vintage baseball. But I just think they're really interesting. You can't say they don't hit, because they've had a lot of good hitting nights. They're pitching. The veterans in the rotation are struggling a little bit, but I don't think that's going to continue. And if it does, you still have Birdsong, maybe even Carson Wisenhunt to come in the rotation. So I think Bob Melvin has to like what he's seeing out there. They're playing smart ball. They're not making nearly as many dumb mistakes as they did last year, and they pitch. The relieving the bullpen is really good, and I think the rotation is just deep enough to where that's going to carry them. And they're right there. It's not easy staying even with the Padres and the Dodgers, but they are right now. Yeah,
and they catch the ball. They just catch. They turn double plays now that didn't get turned last year, and I did this tweet this week. I know you responded to it, and the boys tell me it went viral. Had over 100,000 views or something like that. And it was a very simple question. I said, boy, when you look at the roster, it's the same roster as last year, except for a couple of guys who really aren't contributing, Verlander, Adames, etc. What's the difference? Well, why does this team look like a complete different team than what we had last year? And you did comment on it.
I forget what I said, but
whatever it was right.
Well, I just think there's a mood around the team. I hate to pile on Farhan, but he was a tinkerer, and he meddled with the lineup, and he had guys shuttling up back and forth from Sacramento. And I think there was a mood on the team where you never knew if you're going to get pinch hit for behind analytics, even if you got 2 hits already in the game, or you went 0 for 10, and now you're back to Sacramento. And there's a real stability, I think, throughout the clubhouse. I think there's just guys feeling a lot better about where they stand. They have a tough night, and they're not going to be chased out of the lineup. Those things matter when teams believe like that, and I think it's a huge relief for Bob Melvin. You can't even measure what a relief that is. So, and the guy doing it is Buster Posey. So, it's a real intangible, Marty. But we're seeing the difference. It's because of the difference in the way it feels and the way it looks.
And I think he's handling the pitching staff, Melvin, is the way he wants to. Because it's really dicey with the 17 games, 17 days, and the starters aren't going past the 5th inning. He's really got to handle this bullpen, and you can't script that before the game. He's got to do that on his own. So I think that's been a big change for me. Looking at one other player is Yastrzemski, and I'll talk to Woe about this next, about him. Bruce, he hit a double last night. There was a total hustle double. He's played good defense. He's now entrenched in that leadoff spot against righties. And then Adames knocked him in, intentionally going to right field to knock him in. But Yastrzemski's done a great job.
Oh, yeah, I'm really happy for him. I've been hard on him on this show, and he's such a good guy. And there's so many things that he does well, and the hitting always bothered me. He's always around 230, and the striking out on the high fastball, and see you later. But he's a different guy, and he did. I think Pat Burrow has been working him. He did say something about he's changed his swing a little bit. It's a lot more level. He's hitting some high fastballs. He's going to the opposite way, and he's still dead pulling balls while playing a really good right field and being a guy that everybody likes to follow in the clubhouse. So a real revival for him. again, Buster Posey, that's a great call by him. I was saying, we need a new look in right field. I must have told you that three different times. Yeah. But Buster was right.
Yeah, and he's not, see, the difference for me is he's not popping up all the time.
Yeah.
This guy would pop up 2 or 3 times a game. and he, he'd be under the ball, just constantly. Now it's a flatter swing. I'm no expert. I'm no Bam Bam Mullins, who needs a job now.
Who just got fired, by the way.
Right, who needs a job. But it is a flat swing for him, so I'm glad that we could point him out. Now, we're lucky enough to have you on today, and you wrote a beautiful column this morning. You're an expert in basketball about the Warriors in Houston. What's your feeling on this first series?
Oh, it's going to be volatile. It's going to be full of young guys going off. A great mix of young talent. Jalen Green and Emin Thompson, and the Warriors veterans. There's so many storylines. I don't even know where to begin. Draymond Green, mixing it up inside with guys who want to make their point against him. It's just going to be fiery and back and forth. I really think it's going 7. I don't even know who I would pick right now. You kind of need to watch a couple of games, but it's going to be really entertaining. I mean, Stephen Curry was 0 for 10 the last time they played, and the Amen Thompson's, thinking I've shut this guy down, and he really did. But that's not going to last, and it won't. Will Draymond Green, keep his temper in check for 7 games maybe, and not get in technical trouble? All these things. Is Jonathan Kuminga even going to play? And if he does, he could run wild against this team, because it's not the most disciplined Houston team. So my goodness, it's just filled with possibilities.
Well, you wrote a great story. It's online at the Chronicle this morning, and I got to read it. A quick historical note: the Braves, 1982. I think, wouldn't they win their first 12? I think on around but and there was a great pennant race the whole way with the Giants.
Well, they won 12, and I hated to see the record broken. The record previously opening the season winning streak was 11 by the 81 Oakland A's, and I covered that team. I covered all 11 of those games, and just to illustrate what a different times they were, out of those 11 games, 9 of them were complete games.
Wow.
Norris, Langford, Keogh, and McCaddy went all the way twice, so that's 8, and Brian Kingman had 1. And when the streak was broken by Seattle, Langford went all the way. I mean, that's just the way it was, and it was absolutely great. And, obviously those guys didn't have the longevity, but I've talked to many of them. They were absolutely thrilled at the time. They were the big story in baseball. And in retrospect, they all say, we'd do it again. We love Billy Martin. We were doing great things out there, and, things happened. But, they were special. And to leave the major leagues with something special is always good. But the Braves beat that record. They had Brett Butler leading off, and Chambliss and Bob Horner and Dale Murphy. Really good team. That they got swept by the Cardinals, who went on to win the World Series. But that was a good team, good Braves team in '82.
Yeah, that was great. And the Giants fought them right down to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that last series. Wow. Jung Ho Lee, I want to end on this one. We've played an 1/8 of the season, all right? So he's got 10 doubles already. 80, Earl Webb. Should we get the Earl Webb story out now?
Was it 67?
67, right. 67 doubles.
Yeah, it stays in your mind forever, doesn't it?
Right. So Lee's got 10. Lee's got 10. He's on a pace.
It's very possible because he can run. The ball's up the alley. You never know. He might get 2 on that. You got to play him straight because he'll go down both lines on you. And the guy was a legend in Korea. I mean, this is no surprise to anybody who's followed him, his career. So I'll put me down for 50.
Okay, he's on a pace for 80. All right, I like it.
Yeah.
All right, have a happy Easter, Bruce. I appreciate you being on.
Thanks, Marty. Talk next week.
All right, be well. All right, the Professor, Ron Wotus, next, right here in the Sports Leader.
Talking baseball with Marty Lurie on KNBR 104.5 and 680, the Sports Leader.
Hey, it's Marty, and I'm here to tell you that it's time to discover the islands, and of course that means River Islands. They're celebrating 10 years of bringing the good life to Bay Area homebuyers. What's more, Del Webb, one of America's best-known builders for active adults in the 55 and over crowd, has just opened 3 neighborhoods at River Islands. They're building a huge community center on its own lake, all for buyers looking for a great lifestyle and a little less maintenance. I like that. Homes are priced from the 600,000s. Start your tour online at riverislands.com. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands? It sure is for me. Hello again, Marty Lurie here to talk to you about my good friends at Georgie Brothers, the largest family-owned furniture store in the entire Bay Area. Right now, and good through May 26th, you can save hundreds of dollars on my favorite line of furniture, Stressless. You know, I own Stressless furniture in my home, and I can tell you it's the most comfortable place to sit in my house. Visit them at GeorgieBrothers.com. That's GIORGIBROS.com. Remember, tell them that Marty sent you.
Time now to go to Sunday school with the professor.
Hey, Professor, take it easy, will you?
Giants coach Ron Wotus with Marty Lurie.
Oh, I didn't know you wanted to get involved with the discussion, Mr. Helper.
On your home of Giants baseball.
Good answer. Like the way you think.
KNBR 104.5 and 680, the sports leader.
Brought to you by River Islands, one of the country's top-selling master plan communities just across the Altamont in Lathrop. Where else can you live on a lake next door to a park or walking distance to your kid's new school? With 10 new neighborhoods, River Islands is the one place you can't afford to miss.
All right, great to have you back with us, and we welcome the professor, Ron Wotus. Well, good morning. Happy Easter to you.
Happy Easter to you too, Marty. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Yeah, beautiful day down here in lovely Arizona, and I was thinking, we think of River Islands, and I was looking at something that Colleen said to me, and she said, don't forget about the bocce courts and sand volleyball at Sunset Point Park. That's the home of the boathouse. And I want to throw it to you. Have you ever played bocce ball?
Yeah, I have. I haven't played a lot, but, all my friends play. They're always trying to get me into leagues. I just don't have the time to commit to it. It sounds like a lot of fun, but, you got the Boathouse restaurant right there, which is great, because part of bocce is drinking wine. I think it's required if you're going to play bocce to drink wine.
Yeah, I like bocce. I played bocce in Miami Beach where they had bocce ball courts.
Well, I bet you did. And shuffleboard, Marty, I don't, River Island, they don't have the shuffleboard in there yet, but I'm sure they're going to get that. And we want to make sure no one gets it confused, the bocce ball at River Islands with bocce ball, because they're two different things.
Yeah, I'm too young for shuffleboard. That's not yet.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not too young for sand volleyball. That I could deal with.
Oh, Marty, well, I don't know. If we can't get in a kayak out there at River Islands, I don't know if we're going to be bouncing around in the sand. We'd have range like Felipe Alou used to say when we had a player that had limited range, couldn't move to his right or left. He'd say he has cadaver-like actions.
I like volleyball. And, I'm going to give you my one claim to fame. Miami Beach High, and I was on the team. I was one of the setters. We played for the Dade County Championship in 1963, and we beat North Miami High. It was a big upset. And who was the star of North Miami High? Steve Carlton.
No kidding.
How about that?
Kidding.
Me
wow.
On the court with Steve Carlton. How about that?
That's fantastic. I've listened to you for a long time. You've been on the radio a long, long time. And I don't think I've ever heard this story. Have you ever presented this story on the air before?
No. I was
Pretty good
I was a setter, and I could get under it and set it up. And yeah, we beat Steve. I could see him right now. The crew cut, the whole thing. He was awesome, but we beat him. It was good.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I'm glad you brought it up, though. River Islands, it has it all. It really does. You're right. People forget about the bocce and the sand volleyball, and, I know people love playing both of those.
All right. The Giants on this road trip, well, if they win today, it goes back to 1975. Most stuff goes to 2003 when you guys got off to a great start.
Right.
But 75, they went 5 road series without losing one. And my point to you is, how big of a deal is that to win series on the road like that?
Well, it's huge. The old adage is you want to play very well at home. You want to play well above 500, and you want to be at least 500 on the road, which can be difficult for some teams. Look at poor Colorado. They've had a tough time over the years. Right now they have a tough time winning anywhere, but over the years they've had a tough time winning on the road, and it's important. It's important. I think every manager I've been with, they've always talked about winning series. I was just with Dusty up in Sacramento watching the Rivercats play, and Bob Melvin was talking about, or we saw it on the ticker in the post game that I guess when they were in the last series, it was the first time they lost on getaway day. And the reason I mentioned getaway day is, if you can win on getaway day, it's always a pivotal game because, you a lot of times you're 1-1, or if you can be 2-0, you want to win on getaway day so you win the series. So, winning series and winning games on the road is big. I hope they can continue at this clip, but you know how baseball goes. But they're off to a very good start. They're playing good baseball, and it's great to hear that.
Yeah, and they're playing a lot of road games early, and get them out of the way, so you don't have to go on the road, late in the season. I think that's a great.
That's a big deal. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but it is a big deal. Nobody likes to go on the road and play, playoff contending, very good teams late in the year. So that's a great point. Get a lot of these road trips out of the way, and being at home, everybody usually plays a lot better at home.
Well, I'm watching Webb the other day, and I'm saying, 200 innings, and he's struggling just a little bit, just a little bit. But, boy, you give him the ball, and 7 innings later he's giving it back to you. What is it about Webb? What makes this guy special? Because the stuff is not – you're not looking at, like, great stuff and say, wow, they'll never hit him.
Well, he is very unique in that regard because his velocity isn't, 96, plus. And, a lot of the, great pitchers we think of over the years had really, really good velocity. There's been other guys, and, he's definitely not a finesse pitcher. But what I believe makes Logan so well, number one, is he takes the ball. He wants to be out there. So his attitude, he's a bulldog out there, is number one. But when we start talking about his stuff, everything he throws moves. He's got a tremendous sinker. So you throw into a right-handed batter, you throw him a sinker, it not only sinks, but a lot of times it runs in on you. It runs in on your hand, so the ball's not straight. And then he throws the slider to the righty. Well, that's coming looking like a sinker, and then it breaks the other way. So you have one going in on him, you have one going away from him, and, of course, the changeup, it's hard to pick that pitch up, whether you're a righty or a lefty. So, and that the bottom falls out. So the 3 pitches that he throws, they're always moving. A lot of pitchers, may have very good slider, very good breaking ball, but their fastball can be straight. And we've seen it, Marty, over the years. If you have a straight fastball that's 95, 96, these big league hitters, it's much easier to hit. It's the guy that have real good run or carry or cut on their fastball, like Mariano Rivera. Look at that cutter, what he did, because it moved in late movement. So I think that's one of the keys to his success is the movement on the baseball. And, of course, the man himself taking the mound. And he gets ground balls. He doesn't give up a lot of home runs. You pitch in a close game, and you give up a home run or two, when you have 2, all-star caliber pitchers going at one another. And, one home run could be the difference in the game. So he keeps the ball in the park. He keeps it on the ground. But that's what his stuff does, and it makes him so very good.
Boy, and they turn the double plays behind them. Well, you and Matt Williams working with those infielders all the time. Those double plays are getting turned.
Yeah, they are. They're doing a great job in the infield. Matty's done a great job, and Mark Hallberg and everybody that's helped out with the infield over there. Of course, when you have Chapman over there, I mean, the play he made last night, I heard it on the radio. I was driving back from, a sack of potatoes, and I didn't get to see the play. But this guy, he just makes everybody better, even defensively. He holds that infield down. And like we said before, they have 3 shortstops. They have one at third, they have one at short, they have one at second right now. So they're catching the ball and they're playing very, very sound, fundamental baseball.
You've been up at Sacramento a lot, and we had someone on our YouTube show, Marty Lurie and Friends, talking ball. We got to get you back on that one. It's fun. Once a week I do that. And Sarah Sanchez from Chicago was talking about the Cubs just playing up in Sacramento. And she said, boy, in the summer, this place is going to go nuts for home runs. You've been up at Sacramento a lot. Is it a home run park?
In the summer, the ball will carry better. But it really isn't that bad. I mean, if you start comparing it to Cincinnati, how about Yankee Stadium in right field, Denver, Colorado? I mean, it's not as bad as people are saying. There was a ball hit 2 nights ago there, 107 off the bat. Now, I'm only going to mention launch angle. I don't talk about launch angle, but 31 degrees, just for the listeners, it was tattooed and had the home run trajectory and the whole thing. Went to the warning track, so the ball doesn't carry as great as people think up there. I think it's one of the fairer parks. We know it's one of the most fair parks in the PCL, but there's a lot of major league parks that are deceiving, and the ball the few that I just mentioned, the ball really carries there. And so I don't think it's going to be a joke or a park that, the balls are going to be flying out right and left. I think it's a lot more fair than that.
Well, before this park was built, they had the old Sacramento Park in the 70s in the minor leagues. I don't know if you ever played there, but Gorman Thomas, I think, hit 70 home runs. Remember him?
Yeah, oh, yeah, Gorman Thomas, sure. He was pretty good at it, hitting those home runs.
Yeah, the Brewers. But he played, I think, in Sacramento. I think in the left field was 200 feet away or something ridiculous. But so we'll see what happens here. David VR is up. Well, you got to see him a lot at Sacramento. What do you think?
Well, he's swinging the bat extremely well, and I'm really happy for him. He was, not on the roster anymore, and you get sent down, and when that happens to you as a player, you think, oh, here we go. But I think he's very mature. He handled everything the right way, kept his nose to the grindstone. And you realize, you're not only playing for the Giants, but you're playing for all the other scouts and people that are watching you. And he went down there, and he's swinging the bat really, really well. So for him to go back to the big leagues, it's the old adage we used to say when we were players. When you think you're in, you're out, and when you think you're out, you're in. You just never know what's going to happen in this game. If you're on the roster, then you're taken off. You don't feel good about that. You have to overcome that mentally, and he's done that. And now he got the call to the big leagues because of the injury. So I think everybody in Sacramento is happy for David VR. He deserves it.
Yeah, good. He'll be in. I'm sure he'll be in there today against Kikuchi.
Yeah.
I'm sure Wade. They'll sit Wade down. It's a story for another week. Hopefully he can start hitting. Cal Raleigh got into it yesterday. I guess he was on second base and accused of stealing signs and relaying them and stuff like that. Is this still going on? I thought with the PitchCom and all that, they don't steal signs anymore.
Well, the PitchCom makes it more difficult because the catcher's not putting down signs. But you can still give location. If the catchers get lazy and they move outside too early or inside too early, the runner at second can relay that. Also tips. There's so much video today. We've talked about it, several times. When you're at second base, sometimes you can see where the pitcher's setting. You can see the grip in the glove. A lot of pitchers aren't completely buttoned up on these tips. Most teams have people looking not only at the opposing team, but looking at their own guys to make sure they're buttoned up because, a lot of times you see hitters, they're laying off a guy's got a nasty slider and all of a sudden they're laying off the slider. They're not swinging at it. Something's wrong, right? So then you go to the video and you scrutinize the video and go, oh, there it is. He's tipping. So the tips are still out there, which is going to be impossible to stop unless we go back to the VHS. We had to play it, rewind it, look at it. But it's so easy today to scrutinize the video and, frame by frame. And there's so many cameras. So it's still going on, absolutely.
All right. Well, first of all, happy Easter to you. And it's a little bit like baseball, the rebirth, and every season's a new season. Kind of Easter celebrates that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a wonderful day. I know I have family coming over. I hope everybody out there has a wonderful Easter and has a chance to be with family and enjoy the holiday. And I hope it's a great day. It's a great day. We got beautiful weather here in the Bay Area today, Marty. So it should be a good day.
You're not inviting Phil Cuzzy over, are you?
No, I know Phil very well, but I got a text from J.P. Martinez, Phil's attitude, getting on
Hicks yeah.
For looking in the dugout when the other dugout was chirping at him, the Philly dugout. Yeah, no, Phil can, I don't know if he's from Jersey or New York, but he's definitely got that Jersey, New York type attitude.
Yeah. Ishikawa he was still safe at the plate.
That's right. We talked about that one. I mean, his knees were across the plate, and by the time he got tagged, they called him out and walked off the field. Thanks for bringing it up, Marty. You got me stirred up.
All right, that's baseball. Well, have a great Easter. We'll talk to you next weekend.
Thanks, Marty. You have a good week.
All right, be well. All right, coming up, Glenn Kuiper is going to join us. Kerry is on his way. It's a Giants warm-up as well, and we've got baseball coming up today. So Glenn Kuiper next, right here in the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, there's no better way to set the game day table than talking baseball with Marty Lurie. Marty keeps rolling on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, great to have you back with us. We're joined by Glenn Kuiper, who's now on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, at Kuiper Baseball. How about that? Big move.
Yeah, Marty, I'm trying to keep up with you, and these young guys like Kerry who are sharp and they're on top of it and they know the social media world. And but you know what? I one of my favorite things is to talk about the Giants, and I feel like I got a little idea what's going on. So we're gonna jump into the Twitter world and the YouTube channel world and make it all about the Giants. So I appreciate you for dropping that.
Nah, come on. We love having you on Marty Lurie and Friends Talking Ball. We love having you on that. And if you could do something on the channel, absolutely. You know the game, and you should have a forum to do it. So we're glad to do that. Now, you have a big thing coming up at the Gotham Club. Stephen Revetria told us about it, and you have something coming up with Dwayne at the Gotham Club. What about that?
Yeah, we're excited about it. Starting this Friday night, every Friday night home game, after the game, Dwayne and I are going to do a fun kind of post-game talk show from the Gotham Club. It'll be live, obviously an audience, Gotham Club members who like to, they head out there after the game sometimes and hang for a while. So we're going to do just a fun show. We're going to have guests. We're going to talk about the game, talk about baseball. It's going to be us kind of hanging around, sitting like we may be in our living room talking baseball, which is what Dwayne and I do quite often, anyways. But it's funny, Marty. Dwayne and I have been in the same business, for a long time, but we've never really done anything like this before. We've never done a podcast or things like that. So we kind of thought it would be something interesting to do, and we think the fans will enjoy it. And it's just going to be casual, and we're going to have guests on come up to the Gotham Club for every show. In fact, on Friday night, Marty, how about this way to start the show? Mike Krukow and Will Clark will be our two guests on Friday night. So it could be kind of a raucous, fun night in the Gotham Club. So I appreciate you, let people know what that's all about. But we're excited, and Dwayne and I are excited, and again, it's just something we've never really done before, and we think Giants fans will enjoy it. So,
I think it's terrific.
If you could sneak into the Gotham Club, that'd be great. And Marty, we'll expect you to be out there when you're in town.
All right, no question. I'd love to do it. I love being up at the Gotham Club. I've done a few events up there. It's a great place to hang out, to watch the game, and after the game too. So good for you. I'm glad you're doing that. That's cool. Hey, I want to get your scouting report on Kikuchi, because look, every time we turn around, it's another change-up guy. You've seen him for years with Seattle, Toronto, and now, of course, he's with the Angels. What do you think today?
I think, I was thinking about this morning. I think maybe, I may have done his major league debut, if I remember correctly. But anyways. Interesting guy, Marty. We watched him a lot I saw him a lot in the American League. Good stuff, right? And when he came up, he was throwing hard, and he had a good breaking ball, and so he's kind of strange because he's got really good stuff. I don't know if he throws as hard as he did, when he first got to this country, but the thing is, he's in his 7th year. He's only had a winning record one time, and that was 2023 when he was with the Blue Jays. So he's got the stuff is there, but the numbers aren't always there. Even this year, he's 0-3, but if you look at his starts, he's pitched decent. So I don't know if there's just been a little bad luck involved throughout his career. I don't know, but you can get to him. But it's interesting, Marty, it shows that if you're left-handed and you got quality stuff, your record may not always matter a lot, because the Angels gave him a 3-year, $63 million contract this offseason. Wow. That's a lot of money. But he takes the ball, he goes out there, and, the stuff is decent. but the results and the numbers haven't always showed up for Kikuchi. So it'll be interesting to see what the Giants do against him. And I'm interested to see, too, because he's left-handed, the Giants, they have not hit well against lefties in this very early part of the season. So that's sort of one of those things that I'm going to start watching a little bit closer, Marty, how the Giants do against lefties, because it's an area that I certainly think they can improve on.
Yeah, I think they're 2-5 against lefty starters, and they're just hammering the right-handed starters. But Verlander today, and I know we've talked about him on the show today. Kerry is coming up here in a little while. I'm sure we'll talk about him. But your thoughts about Verlander today?
Yeah, I know everybody's a little worried about it. I'm not. I'm really not. I know I heard Mike Krukow talking about Verlander on KNBR earlier this week, and listen, he hasn't been great, but it's only 4 starts in. I'm really not concerned. Listen, he's on a new team. I don't care how great he's been and how many awards he's won. When he guys like that, they come to a new team. They want to perform, and they know that it's a pretty good team, and they're expecting good things from him. And I think when it's all said and done, I think he's going to be fine. So I'm not really as worried about him as maybe some people are. And quite frankly, Marty, he's here. He's going to be in the rotation unless there's an injury. That's the way I look at it. But there's just too much in his background to really think that he can't be a quality competitive pitcher. Now, he may not be an ace anymore, but there's enough there for him to be good for the Giants this year. And I think when it's all said and done, he certainly will be. But I understand, fans get anxious quickly, and they want to see results. But they are seeing results from a team that's pretty darn good, and it'll only get better if Verlander starts, putting up quality starts, which I think he will.
Well, he's got a team to pitch against that is a little challenged hitting as well. Other than Trout knocking a couple out, and you got to deal with Soler and Neto and things like that. But I would expect a decent game from him today. So we'll see where all that goes. All right, so I'll see you when I come up, and it's good to have you on. And this Friday night at the Gotham Club after the game, you and Dwayne.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Yes, and I'll look forward to seeing you too, Marty. All right, take care, man.
All right, that is Glenn Kuiper at Kuiper Baseball on Twitter. All right, Kerry Crowley's coming back with our Giants warm-up and back with you next Sunday. And, boy, this is going to be a good one. Giants are right in the middle of this thing, and here we are in April. And you just want to continue with a good bullpen, catch the ball, and things will take care of itself. But you'd like to see Lamont Wade break loose just a little bit this week. He's going to see some right-handed pitching from the Brewers, so we'll see if he can't get something going. All right, have a good Easter, everybody. More coming up right here on the Sports Leader.
It sound right, boys. Sound right, boys. sound right, boy.
Seam heads, start cracking those peanuts and spitting those seeds, because gloves are soon to be popping.
He makes a headlong dive and makes the catch.
And bats are going to get cracking.
Blast one! Deep right field! Gone!
Welcome to KNBR's Giants Warmup.
Way back there! Goodbye!
On the sports leader.
We are back. Welcome into Giants Warmup. Kerry Crowley getting you set for Giants baseball on the radio. The end of a 10-game road trip for your San Francisco Giants. It started way back in the Bronx in New York. The Giants then played 4 games in Philadelphia against the Phillies. And now Sunday afternoon, they will wrap things up against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, hoping to finish things up on a winning note as Justin Verlander will take the mound for the second time on this trip. No days off for the Giants as they come back to Oracle Park this week for 4 against the Milwaukee Brewers and then 3 against the Texas Rangers. The Giants will be playing against Bruce Bochy next weekend. Brandon Crawford will be in town for Saturday's festivities out at Oracle Park as the Giants look to honor Brandon Crawford, and that should be a fantastic afternoon. But it's a busy stretch, it's a busy slate, and there is no rest for the weary. The Giants are back at it after playing on Saturday evening. Kind of a tough turnaround from Thursday into Friday. They played Thursday late afternoon. I had no idea why Major League Baseball allowed the Phillies to schedule the fourth game of that series at 4 o'clock instead of 12:45 or 1 o'clock, but the Philadelphia Phillies got away with that, and then the Giants had to make that cross-country flight on Thursday evening. They show up in Anaheim, and the offense looked lifeless on Friday night against Tyler Anderson, former San Francisco Giant. And so it's been a tough road trip. It's been a rigorous road trip, some tough days for their starting pitchers, and they are hoping to get things going with Justin Verlander back on the hill today for your San Francisco Giants, opposed by the left-hander Yusei Kikuchi. Verlander 0-1 this season, a 6.75 ERA and 17 strikeouts on the year. Yusei Kikuchi 0-3, a 4.13 ERA and 22 strikeouts. So neither of these teams have won with these pitchers on the mound at a big rate just yet so far this season, but the Giants hoping that that changes and that Verlander's fortune changes as well. I, for one, believe that Verlander will be better this season. I think that there's a lot of hope and optimism that the 42-year-old can turn things around. I think that Buster Posey, Zach Manassian, and Bob Melvin are going to stick with Justin Verlander, anticipating that the veteran can correct things and can make sure that the mechanical adjustments that have been part of a downfall for him in one big inning in each of his starts so far this season won't continue to haunt him. It was one big inning earlier this week against the Phillies. Outside of that, he pitched relatively well, and I think the Giants need Verlander to go deep into this ballgame to give themselves an opportunity to kind of reset things on Monday evening back at home against the Milwaukee Brewers. So this turnaround that the Giants will have from Sunday afternoon back to San Francisco on the short flight down from John Wayne Airport in Anaheim up to San Francisco, of course, and then not playing again until Monday evening. It's kind of the biggest breather that they'll have throughout this stretch of 17 games in 17 days. No off days, of course, and then the next off day the Giants will get after their 3-game set against the Texas Rangers next weekend. So the Giants hoping that they can finish things off with a strong finish to the road trip, hoping that this lineup can get going and that Justin Verlander can be the guy who completes 6 innings and gives them the quality start that he has been searching for so far this season. They gave him that 1-year, $15 million deal, hoping that he could really help this rotation, not just as a mentor, but as a true piece of it. And I think that Justin Verlander really believes that he can be a real piece of it, and he's not that far away in terms of the adjustments that he has to make. So a little bit of a different Giants warm-up for you this morning. I'm just hanging out with you for a little bit, going to play some of my podcasts with Connor Grossman. So if you hear some audio differences or, it's because Connor was our host of this podcast this week. And so you'll hear me speaking from kind of a different microphone than you're accustomed to here on KNBR. We'll spend most of the first hour of the show on that. And then Bill Lasky will take over. Could be taking some of your phone calls, maybe play an interview or two. Bill's always got some great thoughts on the San Francisco Giants. You hear him every Saturday and Sunday afternoon with extra innings, does such a great job. Bill's going to spell me here on this Sunday morning and next Sunday morning as well. I'll do the first hour of each of these Giants warm-up shows, but then Bill's going to pitch in as well next Sunday when the Giants are taking on the Texas Rangers. So really appreciate Bill for all of his help. But let's start things out right away with Connor Grossman, who, of course, he and I record a podcast weekly during the regular season called Giants Postcards. If you don't subscribe to Connor's Giants Postcard Substack, please do so. He puts something in your inbox every morning after just about every San Francisco Giants game. It's great. It's short. Gets you caught up on all things San Francisco Giants. And one of our big topics this week that we discussed in depth was starting pitching, because I think that we are both concerned about the pitching performances that we've seen thus far. The fact that the Giants weren't able to get Logan Webb a win on Friday evening down at the Big A. Of course, they also lost to Logan Webb start against Hunter Green of the Cincinnati Reds, where he was outdueled by the ace of the Reds earlier this season. And so they've got to figure out a way to take advantage of the great starts that they do get, because Connor, the rest of this rotation, kind of a question mark right now.
This starting rotation that we thought could cover up a lot of blemishes of this team, all of a sudden is the blemish that needs covering up by an offense that has continued to hit remarkably well with runners in scoring position. But when you actually, look at each hitter in the lineup as its own line item, not to just narrow in on batting average, but there's a lot of low numbers in the batting average column. And again, they've made up for that by getting hits with runners on base. That's not sustainable going forward. You bring up the point about losing Logan Webb starts. I wrote about this last night in my newsletter. Since 2023, the Giants have lost 15 games where Webb gave up 2 earned runs or less. And then when he allows 2 runs or more, which could be, 2 up to infinity in theory, they're 16-32. They lose 2/3 of his starts when he allows 2 earned runs or more. And I made the connection in the newsletter to Matt Cain and how any Giant starter for the rest of time is going to elicit memories of getting caned, hashtag caned, when they have a great outing and the Giants offense just doesn't score any runs. And I don't think Logan Webb is at Matt Cain levels because it was such a unique time in Giants history with historically bad offenses. But it just is nonetheless maddening and frustrating, especially when you're facing a team like the Angels, who aren't supposed to be any good. And a guy like Tyler Anderson, who I guess was good for a minute last year, but you got to find a way to score against Tyler Anderson.
Quick Tyler Anderson aside.
Okay.
2020 season, the Giants go 29-31. I don't think he ever said it publicly, but I think we're 5 years removed now. I feel like I can say this.
Breaking news on Giants postcards.
Tyler Anderson getting tossed in the final week of the season from a start when he was 2 or 3 innings into a start, completely let the Giants bullpen plan unravel for the week and overstretch relievers to the point where I think Gabe Kapler blames Tyler Anderson for the Giants missing the 2020 season. Now, I don't know that he ever said it that way. I don't think he ever said, like, Tyler Anderson is the reason, but
Tyler Anderson is the reason that I don't believe.
But there were times during that final week where he was like, if Tyler doesn't get thrown out, this is a completely different week. This is a completely different pitching setup and bullpen, and we're probably in the playoffs. And I think he was furious that Tyler Anderson got tossed from a game in the final week of the regular season in which the playoffs were so expanded that 30-30 would have gotten the Giants in, and instead they go 29-31, famously walked off on their home field by Trent Grisham.
I was just going to say, are you telling me because of Tyler Anderson, Sam Bleepin Coonrod was facing Trent Grisham at home in the bottom of the 9th inning with the Padres batting, and Grisham hits one into the arcade, ending the Giants season?
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me that ties back to Tyler Bleepin Anderson?
It does. I'll have to do some Baseball Reference box score checking. But Anderson being kind of a hothead, which there was a big article on The Athletic this week. I think Sam Blum wrote it about how he's not a hothead, how he just drops an F-bomb after every pitch. I thought was hilarious because you go back to this moment in Giants history where he was famously a hothead. And 5 years later, he's shutting them down in Los Angeles. And
oh, my God.
Giants look hopeless against that 89-mile-an-hour fastball and the changeup that's always worked.
Wow. What a great callback. I do have to say, my only nitpick is that anything that happened in the 2020 season, I don't know if anything famously happened at all in any of the 2020 seasons across all sports, because that was news to me. Someone dropped Forever Giant Tyler Anderson, and I was like, I guess that kind of rings a bell, but that's the combination of the 2020 time warp plus Farhan's never-ending roster churn.
Yeah.
Anyway, to bring it back to today, I want to go into the best and worst things we saw in the last week. I'll kick us off. Best thing I saw last week, I'm in New York for our listeners that don't know. Giants came to town last weekend for some horrible, horrible weather against the Yankees. Like, it's the Northeast, anything's possible with the weather, but truly a miserably cold rain. If you could imagine anything worse than a cold rain, I'd like to hear it. It was 39, windy, and cold. So
I didn't go to the Robbie Ray start, though, right? On Friday night?
No. And I got a lot of texts from different people in my life asking, and, over text, it's hard to interpret tone. But I think with a very concerned tone, like, you're not at the stadium right now, right? Happy to report I had a roof over my head. I was warm, a blanket, and I could watch all 6 innings, I believe that game went. So didn't go Friday, didn't go Saturday, but I made it to Yankee Stadium on Sunday. It was 55 and sunny, and Jung-Hoo Lee added another exclamation point to this remarkable start to his season. He hit 2 home runs, completely rescued the Giants. They were down 3-0 in that game, hit a solo home run to make it 3-1, hit a 3-run homer to put him ahead 4-3. Giants hung on for the win 5-4. It was so cool. I mean, one, it's so cool to go to you're a visiting fan at a stadium. Jung-Hoo Lee, it's a 3-run homer. There's like 7 of us that jump up while that ball is midair, and we're all just like pointing at each other, Spider-Man meme-esque, and that is fun on its own. But then I left the stadium after the game and was reflecting, and it just feels like a moment right now that the Giants haven't had with a player in a long time. Of course, we have Pablo and the Panda Hats, to a lesser extent, Brandon Belts and the draft heads. And I can't believe the milkmen are getting as much real estate as they are on this podcast. But I swear to God, it made me think back to Melky's red hot May of 2012. We had 51 hits, and it was just a sensation that took over, and it was shocking how that happened. And I feel like personally, I am feeling some of that shock. The Giants are all in on the field and off the field with Jung-Hoo Lee. They have the Jung-Hoo crew out in center field.
Don't forget the hooligans.
Yeah, we got the hooligans. Like, this is an all-in effort around a player who I personally didn't expect. I don't want to say I didn't expect much from him. I certainly didn't expect what we're getting. And I think I would have said, best case, he hits 275 and gets on base almost as much as Lamont Wade. Well, here we are, and my, how the turntables. It's just hard to believe.
I think that the swing against Carlos Rodon, where he lofted the ball into the right field porch with a 3-run home run that put the Giants ahead, is going to be one of the swings of the season. Like, top 3 swings that you will remember by a Giants player. Jung-Hoo Lee just demolishing a pitch from Rodon that looked like it was sitting on a platter. I actually saw a tweet that said, "This looks like the single worst pitch ever thrown by a human being." And it was this breaking ball that looped into the barrel of Jung-Hoo Lee's bat. And the uppercut swing that he took is iconic. If Jung-Hoo Lee goes on to have like a 10-year career in San Francisco, that'll be at the front or back of the highlight video. Like, he could do so many great things, walk-offs, but the go-ahead 3-run blast at Yankee Stadium off of forever Giant Carlos Rodon will live on for a long, long time, in my opinion.
It's beautiful. Most iconic Giant moment in Yankee Stadium since Barry Bonds hit one 6,000 feet into the upper deck.
Ted Lilly. Barry Bonds.
Great call. Great call. So it was just so cool to be there for that, and then to consider the larger ramifications. And Jung-Hoo Lee's been unbelievable, and that has been the bright spot of the season so far. So that's the best thing I saw this week. What do you got?
I'll go with Wednesday's game against the Phillies, where the Giants score 4 against Aaron Nola, who I know that he came in 0-3, and this is not the Aaron Nola of the past, but I think that anytime you get a name brand guy and the Giants score early against him, that's a great sign. Then Robbie Ray comes out and looks like a total disaster. On a week where the Giants cannot have that, he looks like a complete and utter disaster.
Yep.
It is difficult to watch Robbie Ray pitch on his best days. I've compared it to getting a root canal, where you feel relief at the end, but during the process, it's kind of a horrible experience. There's very little enjoyment I get from watching Robbie Ray pitch. And it's almost a testament to him that he's built out this incredible career where he made $150 million on the last contract that he signed, because he's really good. But this start, he was not really good. And so he gives the 4 back to the Phillies. Of course, the Giants were trying to pitch around Bryce Harper. Ray throws a pitch 2 feet off the inside corner, and Harper gives it the Yastrzemski-Emilio Pagan treatment, where he just yanks it over the right field fence.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, okay, Giants don't win this game. They go on to score 7 unanswered. They go on to do it without a home run. It was just a peppering of Citizens Bank Park with hits and hits with runners in scoring position. Wilmer Flores continuing to come through. This was the Giants lineup at its best, in my opinion, because you weren't relying on this crazy 3-run home run that you're not going to get any other time. It was just a bunch of good at-bats and wearing the Phillies down over the course of time in a game where I think 90 times out of 100 in the last 6-7 years, they lose that exact ball game.
100%.
Of course, they're playing that exact ball game like 3 other times. So you're not going to see 4 and then 4 and then 7 put up. But that to me was the best win of the Phillies series.
Yeah, you're right. One of the best wins of the season. It was shocking, the relentless approach the lineup took, especially when you consider, again, how many of these guys would probably tell you that they're in a slump. To have everyone come together for, 3 shining hours on offense to make up for a lackluster Robbie Ray start. You build yourselves a mountain, and then all of a sudden you find yourselves having to dig yourself out of a hole. And against the relentless Phillies lineup, where every inning they just seem to have a couple guys on, the Giants.
There's Alec Boehm, like one of those career players against the Giants. Like, Alec Boehm, average against everyone else. He's made his whole career on 6 games a season against the Giants.
That it's funny you bring up Alec Boehm, because in the same way that I love to vent about pitchers who seem to be completely adrift and then lock in against the Giants, lesser so, but there are a few names that most Giants fans could think of in a Goldschmidt and an Arenado who are already great players. But then you're right. You look at a guy like Alec Bohm.
Yeah.
And all the Phillies people were talking about how bad he's been. He's been in a huge funk and a slump. And what's wrong with Alec Bohm? Well, he looked pretty friggin' great against the Giants. You'd never know anything was wrong. And I'm sure the Giants dish it out themselves with some players. But, when you're a fan, it's hard to look at it that way. You look at a guy who's been in a slump that gets a big hit. You're like, well, he was due. But you're on the receiving end of it. It's like, how are we not getting this guy out? All this guy's been doing is making outs. And then Alec Bohm comes up and I remember one hit he lined into the gap against Verlander, and I think that was right after Elliot Ramos had dropped.
It was the sixth inning. It was when Verlander shouldn't have been in. It was after Real Muto hits the fly ball that's got a 99% catch percentage, just ripped into the gap. I mean, come on.
We're going to have a conversation another time about
we really could.
Yeah. All right, that was the best thing you saw last week. Let's turn the tables. Worst thing I saw last week, it's in the same vein. It's two things bundled into one. The first inning from Jordan Hicks and Robbie Ray.
Oh.
Just miserable. And the whole reason we're even having the conversation about the rotation is how bad they looked in their first innings, plus Verlander generally not being that great. But specifically those first innings against a great lineup. We talked about it on our last pod about how playing great teams is the ultimate measuring stick you're going to find in a 6-month season. And the Phillies, maybe they're not as great as they have been the last 3 months. I know our friend Marty Lurie had some opinions about the Phillies being maybe on the rocks a little bit. Phillies
he thinks everyone's on the rocks, for the record. He thinks it's Dodgers, Padres, Giants, and no one else is close.
Well, that's because that's the way it is. The Phillies are going to be fine. And at the very least, those hitters, those veteran hitters with proven track records, they're pretty good guys on their best days. And it seemed like a lot of them were having their best days these last 4 days in Philadelphia. So credit where credit's due. They're great hitters, but Robbie Ray and Jordan Hicks certainly made them look maybe even better than they are. And there was a lot of walks. I think in the first inning, the two first innings combined, it was 5 walks, 6 hits, 7 runs, and it feels like it could have been so much worse because I think Ray left the bases loaded. There might have even been bases loaded, 1 out, and he was able to squirm out of it, only giving up the 2 runs. So it was just really frustrating to watch. As exciting as first inning runs are when you score them, it's maybe doubly as miserable when they are scored against you.
Yeah.
And we hear it about a lot of guys, Logan Webb too, that maybe they're most vulnerable at the start of the game when they're still trying to get in a groove. And that feels like the politest way you could put the performances of Jordan Hicks and Robbie Ray. They were still trying to get in their groove.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. There's so many things that I could choose from this week on being my least favorite thing that I saw. I could go to Willy Adames not being able to block the ball on Friday evening against Zach Neto that allows the run, and then the Giants lose that game as a result of that. The entire lineups at bats against Tyler Anderson, that was horrific.
Cy Anderson.
Yeah, Cy Anderson, exactly. But I want to nitpick a moment that is not nearly the worst thing that I saw, but it was just kind of, I think, emblematic of the way that Bob Melvin manages a season and goes against how I think teams in the Giants' position should chase wins. So it's Tuesday night in Philadelphia. They have Justin Verlander on the mound for the 6th inning. His pitch count's already high 80s. His stuff is tailing off after 80 pitches. We can all see this. Like, this is not a mystery that a 42-year-old does not have the durability that he once did. Giants are ahead 3-2. If I'm managing that ball game, I know that the Giants have just won 3 of their last 4 and that they won on Monday evening in Philly when maybe they shouldn't have. I'm chasing that win. Like, I am setting up Rodgers and Walker to take down the 9th inning, and I've got Randy Rodriguez warming at the start of the 6th inning there.
Yeah.
And they go out, and Verlander not only gives up 1 hit after he records 1 out, he gives up another. And I'm thinking, okay, this has got to be the time where you get him out of the ball game. Then Real Muto hits the ball down the left field line. Ramos took one of the worst angles you will ever see. The wind was whipping. I can't 100% put the blame on Ramos because the conditions were terrible at Citizens Bank Park. Conditions were terrible all week. It falls. Bob Melvin has got to get Justin Verlander out of that ball game.
Yeah.
If you're chasing a win, and if you think you can win that ball game against Philadelphia, at least guarantee yourself a split on the road against a tough team, you got to just say, we're going to ride our relievers. Like, we will figure out tomorrow. And instead, he was saving his bullets. And he brings in guys like after Verlander had given up the lead, I think Randy Rodriguez came in.
Yeah, you're right. Verlander was on the mound.
Randy Rodriguez shouldn't be pitching in a game where the Giants are losing. He is that good right now. He's one of the best relievers in baseball, according to StatCast and all those advanced metrics. Lou Trevino season, Spencer Bivens season, when the Giants are trailing by a run or two. Like, I want to see Trevino throw 150 innings this year.
I was just going to say, is he going to be the 150 game guy a la Tyler Rogers? Because it's looking that way.
He's got to be, because you can't burn Randy Rodriguez in that scenario where the Giants are losing. So it, to me, was just bullpen mismanagement in a game where Bob Melvin, 17 games in 17 days, is playing the long game. He's doing what's best for his staff, and he's doing what's best for the long-term health of the ball club, knowing that the Giants will win games in July, August, and September as a result of this. But I don't think the Giants are talented enough to say that we can play the long game. I think the Giants need to stack wins in April and say we will figure it out with what's left of our staff in July, August, and September. And so I didn't like that mentality that much. And I think it just speaks to a difference in how Bob manages a season. There's a reason he's a major league manager and I'm not, and how I would go about this from behind the microphone. So I'm willing to accept that I am probably wrong here, but I just didn't like it.
Yeah, to be clear, Kerry, if you were manager, you'd definitely be at the center of a lot of the worst things I saw this week.
All right, big thanks to Connor Grossman for helping me out with the first hour here on Giants pregame show, Giants Warmup. Coming up next, Bill Lasky's got you the rest of the way. He will have more Giants Warmup for you, and then the full Giants pregame as the Giants get set to finish off this 10-game road trip in Anaheim against the Angels behind Justin Verlander, the big 42-year-old veteran, still looking for his first win with the orange and black. Bill's got you on the other side. You're listening to KNBR 104.5 680, the sports leader.
Just a quick note about the rooftop restaurant at the Via Hotel, the Hotel Via across the street from the park. They do a wide variety of events on the rooftop, from weddings and birthdays to corporate retreats and special events, holiday events, and any other special occasion you can think of. With stunning 360 views of the skyline, Bay Bridge, East Bay, and of course Oracle Park, the rooftop at Via is truly one of the most unique event venues in San Francisco.
Giants fans, first pitch isn't too far away as KNBR's Giants warm-up continues on the sports leader.
All right, happy Easter to you and your family, and a great Sunday here in Northern California. My name is Bill Lasky. Thanks, Kerry Crowley, for taking over that first hour, and I'll take the rest of the show and bring you up to the first pitch at 1:07 p.m. The third game, the rubber match against the Los Angeles Angels and the San Francisco Giants. Justin Verlander on the hill for the Giants against Yushi Kikuchi. Love that name. And both of them looking for their first win of the season. Of course, Verlander's 0-1 and Kikuchi's 0-3. He ended up losing to Tampa Bay, St. Louis, and the White Sox. Some good pitching performances by him against Texas. And Verlander, tough games. He started off with Cincinnati and gave up 3 there. He ended up going against Seattle, gave up 3 there, 2 against Cincinnati again, and then in Philadelphia gave up 4. Got into the 6th inning, 3 out of those 4 starts. He has been pitching a little bit better. It's the middle innings that he's been struggling with. We'll break that down as the show continues. But today, the San Francisco Giants, 14-7, going against the LA Angels, 10-10. A great road trip so far for the San Francisco Giants, as they're 5-4 in a 10-game road trip before they come home and play a 7-game homestand at Oracle Park, 4 against Milwaukee, 3 against Texas, and they finally get a day off on Monday, April 29th, and boy, they can't wait for that day. 17 games straight. A tough stretch here for the San Francisco Giants, but overall, they've been playing well. Of course, they won 2 out of 3 against New York in Yankee Stadium. They split with Philadelphia in Citizen Bank Park, 2-2. And yesterday, a great game right there. They're really a good gut punch there as they went into trenches against the Angels and ended up winning that game 3-2 on some outstanding pitching by Landon Roop, Tyler Rogers, and Ryan Walker. Roop getting his second win. He's 2-1, and Ryan Walker getting his save, number 5. It all happened with a Matt Chapman home run starting off in the first inning after Abanas gets a walk. And that was his 4th home run, an 0-1 changeup by Kyle Hendricks, and he hit that. A 78-mile-an-hour changeup. How about that? 78 miles an hour, got it up. Chapman didn't miss it. and he hit his 4th home run. They added another run in the 3rd inning, a great hustle play by Mike Yastrzemski, hit a 1-1 fastball to right center field and really challenged Jorge Soler's arm, and he really, and I keep saying this, a hustle play as he went around first base and challenged him, and he got into second base. It's just a great play right there by Yastrzemski. In the leadoff spot this year, Mike's been 5 for 15, 3 doubles and 1 home run. And that was a big play of the game when the Giants ended up only getting 3 runs. Willie Adames seeing a first pitch sinker away, and he pushed it out to right field. Once again, they challenged Jorge Soler's arm, and Yastrzemski got the 3rd run, and the Giants held on 3-2. All right, let's take a look at the lineups. The lineups just came up just recently as the San Francisco Giants shook it up a little bit. Let's take a look at the Angels and what they're bringing against Justin Verlander. Leading off, the left fielder, Taylor Ward. He's hitting .214, 5 home runs and 8 RBIs. The third baseman, Luis Renafo, comes back as the second spot. He's got 1 home run, 7 RBIs. .230 on the season. Mike Trout hitting 2 solo home runs yesterday. He's hitting 3rd playing right field. He was a designated hitter the first 2 games. He's got 8 home runs, 16 RBIs, a .189. That's what he's hitting. That's kind of weird when you look at Mike Trout and how he's had a great career so far. Jorge Soler, the ex-Giant, hitting 4th. He will be DHing today. 4 home runs, 9 RBIs on the season, hitting .264. Nolan Schanuel is hitting 5th. He is playing first base. 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, hitting .280 on the season. Hitting 6th is Logan Ahoop. .288, 5 home runs, 9 RBIs. He'll be catching for Kikuchi today. And then Zach Neto playing shortstop. He's at 1 RBI, no home runs, hitting a .167. He's just coming back from the IL with a shoulder injury. Joe Adell, who had 3 hits the first game, went 0 for 3 yesterday. He's hitting .222 playing center field, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs. And we're going to see the ex-Chicago White Sox, Tim Anderson. He will be playing second base for the LA Angels today. He's only 7 for 41, no home runs, 3 RBIs. And hitting .171. On the other side, the orange and black attack, the San Francisco Giants will be putting out their right-handed lineup today, leading off Elliot Ramos. He's playing left field. He's 19 for 88 on the season, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, hitting .216. Willie Adames with a great RBI yesterday, playing shortstop. 16 for 84, 1 home run, 9 RBIs, hitting .190 on the season. Hitting third, the hottest hitter the Giants have, Lee Jung-hoo, and I say that because I'm interviewing him tonight on the Extra Inning Post-Game Show. He's 27 for 76, 3 home runs, 14 RBIs, hitting .355, playing center field. Matt Chapman, who came out of New York 0 for 23 and really hit the stride through Philadelphia and now through Los Angeles. He's 18 for 72, 4 home runs, 14 RBIs. Now he's hitting .250. Wilmer Flores hitting in the 5th position. He is 16 for 75. He's really hit a hard stretch here. 6 home runs, 23 RBIs, only hitting .213. Luis Matos is going to play right field, of course, against Kikuchi, the lefty. 5 for 25, 1 home, 1 run RBIs, hitting .200. Tyler Fitzgerald hitting in the 7th spot today. Had a real nice series in Philadelphia. 18 for 61. 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, hitting .295. Hitting 8th, David Villar. That's right, David Villar, who got called up when Casey Schmidt had an oblique injury, and Encarnacion went on a 60-day IL. He's getting his first start today playing first base. In Sacramento, he had .368 and had 12 walks, so we'll see what David Villar could do against the lefty. And rounding it out, Sam Huff. He's 2 for 18. Giving Patrick Bailey a day off. He's hitting a $111. So, a good matchup today. Giants are 5-4 on this road trip. When you start looking at numbers on the season, of course, they're 14-7. 6 one-run games they've played. They're 4-2 in those. 9-2 against the American League. 10-5 on the road. They're coming home. They're 4-2 at home. They've only played 6 games at home when you're thinking about 21 games played. And a big homestand. They have 4 against Milwaukee and 3 against Texas. My name's Bill Lasky. This is a Giants warm-up show. Coming up next, I really sit down and I'm invited Mark Abanas in, and we're going to have a chat with him. He's all ready for me up in Napa. Of course, Mark Abanas was a sports anchor at KTV for over 40 years. Big-time Giants fan. I'm glad we're having a little chat on Easter Sunday. It's always great catching up with Mark and his knowledge on the game of baseball and just on the knowledge of sports. He's fantastic. So coming up next, I sit down and invite Mark Abanas into the KNBR studios. That's coming up next on the KNBR Warm-Up Show.
KNBR Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the Sports Leader.
Welcome back to the Giants warm-up show on KNBR with Bill Lasky as we get you ready for the third game with the LA Angels against the San Francisco Giants. Verlander versus Kikuchi. My guest today, sports director for Channel 2 at KTVU. For over 40 years, a big Giants fan. Love talking baseball with him. Let's welcome in Mark Abanas. Happy Easter, Mark. How are you?
Hey, Bill. Happy Easter right back at you. And, you know, I love talking baseball 365 a year. So, and especially Giants baseball.
Well, we're going to break down Justin Verlander in a minute, but I want to talk about some concerns in the hitting department, the pitching department, as well as the fielding department. So let's just talk a little bit about hitting right now. This team coming out of spring training, we want to hit the ball. We want to make contact more. Well, Mark, 190 strikeouts or more, and this is a concern for me. How about you?
Well, yeah, I mean, making contact is always a key in baseball. Obviously, that is the thing. But you know what? To kind of counteract all those strikeouts, and it is annoying, it's a different kind of game in this day and age, I think they've gotten a lot better at getting hits with 2 outs and men in scoring position. Mm-hmm. And their stats were terrible in that regard last year. But to, you know, combat the strikeouts, at least they're getting a lot of 2-out hits, a lot of clutch hits, and it's reflected in their record and their run scored total, which I think they're on a pace to be a whole lot better than last year. But, I mean, you got to make contact to make it happen. And that, you're right, it's a concern, no question.
Oh, you're so right about runners in scoring position. After 21 games, they're in the top 5 in getting those runs in. And what I like about also, Mark, they're running. They're stealing bases. They're running from first to third on base hits. They're watching the ball a little bit more when they get on bases, and they're being aggressive.
Yeah, and they've got some speed, and they've got some guys who can pick their spots and make it happen. Even a guy like Mike Yastrzemski, who is not blessed with blazing speed, but he's got a great baseball acumen, and he knows when to do it, and their percentage is high, too. They're not just running recklessly and getting thrown out half the time trying to steal, and I like that aspect. I like the aggressiveness. I like forcing the action, and that's something that's been sorely lacking. The station-to-station baseball is not only ineffective in this day and age, but it's boring for the fans. I mean, let's face it, the last couple of years prior to this was not an enthralling baseball team to watch, and they really are. It's gotten to the point now where you're like, it's appointment baseball. It's like, I can't wait to watch what they do today, and they've shown a great ability, which was a thing of the past before the last few years. They can come back in a game. They get down 4-0. You don't feel like flicking off the TV and getting out of there because there's no chance of a comeback. They can rally. They can make it happen. It almost seems to inspire them and light a fuse under them when they get behind early. I love it.
Mark, you brought up Mike Yastrzemski. I'm going to bring up Wilmer Flores and Jung-Hoo Lee, all 3 players that had injuries last year. Of course, Jung-Hoo Lee missed the whole season, but all 3 of them are playing so well so far in the first 21 games. Are you believing these 3 guys? Do you think these guys will continue as the season continues, or do you think this is early season hot streak?
That's a great question because, you know, the jury is still out, right? I mean, Mike Yastrzemski is one of those guys who has been unnerving sometimes with the strikeout count, but he seems to be making adjustments. And you know what I like when I see Mike Yastrzemski at the plate and he's hitting the ball to left field or left center field? He's got good power that way, and I think he's even on record as saying he's not trying to pull everything. So I think if he can to focus on spraying the ball around, the home runs will come, and he can. I see Mike as the type of guy who could hit 270 with between 18 and 23 home runs a year if he just cuts down on the strikeouts, puts the ball in play. Wilmer Flores, I think, has always been a clutch hitter. Last year, he had no legs, man. He was injured. And I think when you see a healthy Wilmer Flores, nothing seems to faze him, and that's why he's so good in the clutch. He's got, as Brian Sabian used to say, the slow heartbeat, the guy who wants to be up there with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. So I think what he's doing is definitely it can continue, no issue at all with that. And you asked me about Jung-Hoo Lee. Obviously, we don't have a huge sample size on him because he was injured very early in the year. But again, it's a matter of making contact. He's got great speed. He puts the ball in play for the most part. And as he showed at Yankee Stadium last week, he's got a little power. And I think he's got the confidence. I definitely think he can replicate what he has done so far throughout the course of 162.
That voice you hear on the Giants warm-up show is my buddy Mark Abanas as we get ready for that first pitch at 1:07 with the Giants and the Angels finishing out a 3-game series. Let's go to the pitching department. We got to split this up in 2 halves. Starting pitchers struggling in the first inning. They struggled in Philadelphia. They struggled in the cold and the rain in New York. But then the bullpen has come out and has shown lights out. And it's not just 1 or 2 pitchers. It's the entire bullpen. What have you seen so far in the pitching staff?
Well, I like it. I'm with you, Bill. I know you as a starter for the most of your career would like to see guys, go longer than 4 and 5 innings. And that's a little concerning right now because, as you know, over the course of this long season, you get to around July and August, the dog days start, and you've been wearing these guys out. They look great right now. But when they've got the rag arm going later, I mean, it creates a problem. But so far, so good because they're strong. They haven't built up the innings yet. But I think it's an obvious situation with the Giants rotation. They've got to get more length out of these guys. And I know I have expressed to you off the air that Jordan Hicks, I think, would be such a great late inning leverage type of reliever, but he's got it in his head he wants to be a starter. I think the jury is out on that, whether he's got the stamina. I mean, this guy, if he could come in and let it fly for an inning or two, I think he'd be one of the best in the business. But he's, like I say, he wants to be a starter. We'll see on that, but he's not giving you 6, 7 innings. In fact, you don't even get the feeling that is even a possibility. And then it's also a concern, how much does Justin Verlander have left in the tank? Because he hasn't been able to put together any long starts to give the bullpen a little breather. I mean, your thoughts, Bill?
Well, we're going to break into Verlander in a minute here. I got some numbers and statistics to show you, and we can talk about. Let's go to a real positive side. The defense has just been pristine. And when you look at it, they're even with the Cardinals, the Braves, some good fielding teams, and they're up there with less than 8 errors so far in the early part of the season. But we're seeing better defense. We're seeing quicker hands. When you look at Abanas and Chapman on the left side, I really believe that's one of the best left sides in Major League Baseball. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are so far. Good defense.
Yeah, and Buster Posey is kind of imposing his will about that, pitching defense, and that tightens things up, particularly when you're playing in a spacious park like the Giants do. And I got to give a tip of the cap to Willy Adames. He has not gotten off to the kind of start he would like, I'm sure, with the bat. And he has not let it affect his defense. He had a little bit of a down year when you look at statistics last year defensively, but I think he's showing range, particularly up the middle. And then you got Matt Chapman, who does look like a platinum Gold Glove winner, but all the way around, nobody, and give it to Wade at first base. Lamont has not hit the ball at all, but he's playing a solid brand of first base. And the outfield has been good. Jung-Hoo Lee gets a good jump on the ball. So every aspect of the defense, it's almost as opposed to the last couple of years when they miss a cutoff man or make a defensive play that has you scratching your head. It's more like a surprise now when they don't pull off a pristine defensive play, and they haven't made many actual statistical errors at all, but maybe bit as important or more important is the mental blunders that used to drive you crazy. Like missing the cutoff, or, throwing to the wrong base, all that kind of stuff. They look pretty much airtight so far, and at last look at the stats, I could be wrong, but I think they're like number one in fewest errors committed, or certainly in the top 2 or 3.
They sure are, and you're absolutely right. Playing the game properly with Tyler Fitzgerald now at second base, it's a different position, but I think he's really got to play the ball on going to his left side, going out to center field, and made a great catch in Philadelphia over his shoulder, and then backing up. This is one thing I was talking about on Sports Phone KNBR the other night. You see him backing up the throws, and you just don't see that as much in the big league level. They just think and they believe that every throw is going to be right there. But you see Fitzgerald always backing up Lamont Wade Jr. or Schmidt at first base. And those are the things that I check out, and those are the things I see. And I'm sure more and more fans are starting to see that too.
No doubt. And the hustle plays. And let's not take Patrick Bailey behind the plate for granted. There were a couple of plays, particularly in that Philadelphia series, where I think his framing or his reputation precedes him in that, like JT Realmuto, the catcher, got called out a couple of times on pitches that, Patrick Bailey just did an excellent job to get those calls, and you can't underscore the importance of that enough. And he's another guy like Lamont Wade, Willie Adames, and Bailey. They are not really producing offensively the kind of numbers you'd like to see, but they're making up for it. And you know this, Bill, that guys, when they're going over at the plate, they can take that attitude out into the field, and then all of a sudden they're making the bad play, and it winds up costing them a game more than their 0 for 4 did. So, like I say, tip of the cap to those guys who will come around offensively, but they're not letting it affect their defense right now. So it's made a difference. And like I said, this is a fun team to watch because of the fundamentals right at the core of their success.
A few more minutes with Mark Abanas as the Giants warm-up show continues here on KNBR. Let's look at the starting pitcher today. We talked about just a little bit a minute ago about Justin Verlander, 20 years in Major League Baseball, Mark. And, take a look at his 4 starts. He started against the Reds, going 5 innings, only giving up 2 earned runs. Faced the Mariners in only 2 1/3 innings, gave up 3 runs. Faced the Reds once again, 5 2/3, 5 earned runs. And against the Phillies, he also went 5 2/3, gave up 8 hits, 4 earned runs. But you look at the total amounts here, 18 2/3 innings in 4 games, 24 hits, 14 earned runs, 3 home runs, 9 walks, 17 strikeouts. I don't believe, if you're talking to Justin Verlander, this is what he expected at the beginning of the season.
No, and I think expectation level is right what we have to look at. You see the name Justin Verlander, and you think, okay, because of all those years in the past that we've expected to see the great outings, the 7, 8 innings, giving up a run or 2, and the low ERA. In fact, he had a sensational year just a couple of years ago. But right now, we're not getting Justin Verlander's name matching up to the stats, and I don't know what our expectation level should be at this point, because he is up there. If I'm not mistaken, he's the oldest player in the major leagues, and it's that old thing, the mind is willing, but the body's unable. And I think Justin himself would tell you that he's not happy with what he's put out there. I mean, his ERA is way higher than what you'd want. And it's concerning because over the course of a season, I mean, what would you say, Bill, at the beginning of the year, Justin Verlander at 42, 43 years old, you're expecting what? Best case scenario to get 18 to 22 starts out of him?
I would have thought so too. I think you and I talked about that in spring training. How many do you think you can get out of him? And when I did a deep dive on his numbers in the first 4 games, and it really is just fastball. He's throwing 48% four-seam fastballs. His highest velocity has been at 94 miles an hour. Opposition hitting 294 on the fastball, 10 hits, 6 base hits, 2 doubles, 2 home runs. Then you look at the slider, and that's at 24%, about 87, 88 miles. It doesn't really have that hard dip like he used to have. And then he's only throwing a curveball and the changeup 10% each time. So he's really relying on the fastball, Mark, and the velocity isn't where he used to be. He was always 95, 96, and of course that's the case being 42 years old. But when you're looking at this as an opposition, I think hitters are going up there looking for that fastball.
Yeah, they're very confident, and I was just kind of hoping maybe with the warm weather he can loosen up and get it rolling. And like I said, it's just so amazing to me when you hear Justin Verlander starting. Well, your first thought is, great, man, they got Justin Verlander throwing today. but reality tells you he's not the same guy, and it's so hard. You have seen it down through the years where a guy has been a superstar and they expect certain things out of themselves, and it just can't happen anymore. And I have to tell you, I think it's concerning, and we have talked offline too about birdsong, man. I think the time is growing close to where I want to see that guy every fifth day, see what he's got to offer. But, I'm still optimistic, still hoping that Verlander can put off Father Time a little longer. But, I was at the game where they played Seattle on opening day, and to me it was like, oh, man, this is a big red flag. He didn't last too long, and he has had longer starts, but I just don't know what Giant fans' expectation level should be out of Justin Verlander. The name is Hall of Fame, but the game right now is medium at best.
And Mark, he gets good starts, no doubt, but it seems like the middle innings always come back to bite him the second time, maybe even third time around. He just doesn't have that out pitch like he used to have. And I looked at the pitch tracker here, and when you start looking at ground ball percentage, fly ball percentage, ground ball percentage about 35%, fly ball percentage is 29%. But here's the one I want to throw to you. Line drive outs, almost 25%. So you're thinking about this, 25%, guys are really hitting that barrel. He's getting lucky on a few of these because they're line drive outs. You can't mess that up.
Yeah, solid contact is what I notice against him. And did you mention his strikeout ratio? I didn't hear that. And, when that is higher, that tells you that he's getting good break on his off-speed pitches and that slider. And I'm not seeing that happen. In other words, in simple terms, he's not fooling anybody, Bill. That's the guy.
You're absolutely right. And I think that's the concern as you and I are talking about this game coming up here at 1:07 when Justin Verlander faces the Angels. We're going to see if he can get through this lineup with the Angels. Of course, you got Trout. You also have J.D. Davis, Soler, some guys that was in a Giants uniform. And you start thinking, how far can he go? It would be great if he could get in the fifth or sixth inning. He's been trying that. He's got through the fifth inning 3 out of the 4 times. But as I just mentioned, the middle of the part of the game, these guys come around and he just doesn't have that high-velocity fastball or that quick break on his breaking ball to maneuver through it.
Yeah, I think he's got to get his confidence back, and I'd like to see him get consecutive starts at Oracle. The Giants have been on the road so much in the early going here. It's crazy. If I'm not mistaken, he's only had 2 home starts, and I think if he got into a groove at Oracle, which is a tailor-made park for him, and get his confidence rolling and the feel for a new team and all of that, they might get 20, 23 starts out of him. He's got to get that ERA down and just start looking a little more like Justin Verlander and be able to, come through because they gave him a pretty fat contract. You'd like to see them get a little more out of it. And if not, you got to make room for the young guys, man. That's the simple truth of baseball. You know that better than anybody.
No question about that. Well, after today, Mark, they come home to Oracle Park, 4 against Milwaukee, 3 against the Rangers before they finally get a day off after 17 straight days. So looking forward to a good game today. I want to thank you for joining me on the warm-up show. And like I said earlier, have a happy Easter with your family.
Thanks a lot, Billy. Always nice to be on with you. And I like the groove they're in right now as far as overall context of the Giants. More interesting to watch, and no reason why our optimism of the spring can't continue right on through the season. So let's do it, Bill.
All right, I appreciate your time, Mark. That was Mark Abanas and the Giants warm-up show right here on KNBR. I'm Bill Lasky. We're going to have more coming up right here on KNBR, the sports leader.
throws, and Ohapi swings away. It's a chopper to third. Chapman falls down from his knees. He throws to first, and he got him. Eric Young, the third base coach, from his perspective, started waving over to the first base coach, who says, let's look at that in the video room. Ron Washington is not going to challenge, though. I don't know how Chapman did that. He fell down. Could have been a total disaster. And from his knees, off balance, he had enough arm strength to get Ohapi.
Welcome back to our KNBR Giants warm-up on the Sports Leader.
All right, welcome back to KNBR Warm-Up Show. My name is Bill Lasky, filling in for Kerry Crowley. Did the first hour and getting you ready for that first pitch at 1:07 p.m. down in Los Angeles against the L.A. Angels. Giants and the Angels have split right now. They're 1-1. The rubber match coming up in about an hour or so. Milwaukee Brewers coming into town. The probables just came up. I kind of broke down the Brewers here, and I want to reach out to you and tell you a little bit about them. They're 11-10 on the season right now. They're playing the Athletics in Milwaukee, and they have a 1-1 series. They lost last night to the Athletics. 11-10 overall, 5-5 on their last 10 games. On the road, they're 3-6 coming into Oracle Park tomorrow, where the Giants are only played 6 games at home. They're 4-2. When you're looking at their overall batting averages, the Brewers are hitting .230 overall. The Giants are hitting .223. Milwaukee has hit 21 home runs. The Giants have hit 24. 102 RBIs for the Giants to 89 with the Brewers. And runs, 107 so far for the San Francisco Giants compared to 98 for the Brewers. 161 hits to 158 to the Giants. On the earned run average side, the pitching, the Giants have a better earned run average team-wise. They're at a 3.44 earned run average compared to a 4.29 earned run average for the Brewers. 29 home runs have been given up by the Brewers, where 18 for the San Francisco Giants. Some good starting pitching is going to be going on at Oracle Park starting tomorrow at 6:45 first pitch. Robbie Ray will take the mound. He's 3-0 with a 4.19 earned run average against a tough right-hander, Quinn Priester, 1-0 with a .90 earned run average. The games continue on Tuesday at 6:45. Jordan Hicks takes the hill. He's 1-2 with a 6.04 earned run average. His last start, if you remember, he gave up 5 in the first inning and shut down the Phillies for the next 6 innings. He's going against a left-hander, Jose Quintana. He's 2-0 with a .71 earned run average. Wednesday night, another 6:45 game. Logan Webb takes the hill. What a magnificent game he threw against the Angels on Friday. He's 2-1 with a 2.4 earned run average against a right-hander, Freddie Peralta. He's also 2-1 with a 1.9 earned run average. Then the afternoon game on Thursday at 12:45, start Landon Root. Whew, did he pitch well last night? He's 2-1 with a 4.09 earned run average against the season debut of Tobias Myers, a right-hander. So 4 good matchups and some good pitching coming into Oracle Park. All right, you know what time it is? It's a Sunday, and it's time for Home Run of the Week. That's sponsored by Pacific Catch, the Bay's favorite seafood destination. Last night, we heard the Home Run of the Week. Let's hear it.
Here's the pitch. Chapman blasts one to deep left field. Going back on it, Ward. At the wall. Gone! Matt Chapman. And listen to the Giants fans here in Anaheim. There are a lot of them. Matt Chapman back home where he grew up. A 2-run, a homer here in the first inning. And the Giants take a 2-0 lead.
After being shut out on Friday, where the Giants only had 4 hits, the home run came in the first inning and gave Landon Root a little leverage, and Landon Root pitched really well. 7 innings, 5 hits, only giving up 2 earned runs. Both of those were solo home runs by Mike Trout. 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. He only had a 3-ball count 3 times in the game. He was ahead of hitters, 16 first-pitch strikes out of 26 hitters, and overall in 7 innings, 96 pitches, 62 for strikes. One of the best outings Landon Root has done in the 2025 season. 5 ground ball outs, of course. That came with a lot of sinkers and a curveball. The 12-6 curveball was really magnificent. When you look at the 9 strikeouts, 5 by curveballs and 4 by sinkers. Tyler Rogers had a nice 1-2-3 in the 8th. Ryan Walker had a little heartbeat there quick for us Giants fans as Mike Trout hit one to left center field and Ramos pulled it in, and he ended up going 1 inning, 1 hit, and he ended up getting his 5th save. Let's take a look at the lineup one more time for the Giants. Ramos is in left field. Abanas is at short. Jung-Hoo Lee is in center. Chapman is at third. Wilmer Flores DHing. Matos is in right field. Fitzgerald's playing second. VR getting his first start coming up from Sacramento. He'll be at first base. And Sam Huff will be catching Justin Verlander today. On the Angels side, Taylor Ward will be leading off and playing left field. Then it's Renifo, and he's playing third. Mike Trout's in right today. He's been DH in the last 2 games. Jorge Soler is a DH today. And then it's Nolan Shawnawell. He's playing first base. Logan Ahop will be catching. Zach Neto will be at short. Joe Adell will be in center. And Tim Anderson, the ex-Chicago White Sox, will be playing second base. 808 KNBR if you want to get on the phone lines. We got a few minutes to talk about the Giants team. If you're out there, give me a call at 808 KNBR as we continue on the Giants warm-up show. And I really think we should talk about one hot hitter in this team, and that's Jung-Hoo Lee. Tonight on the extra inning post-game show after the game today, I interviewed Jung-Hoo Lee, and his interpreter was Justin, and had a really nice one-on-one conversation. Please listen to that tonight as we get to know Jung-Hoo Lee a little bit. And one of the first things I got to know about Korea baseball and to interview Korea players, you say their last name first. So you'll hear me saying Lee Jung-Hoo a lot tonight on that interview. And also the other interview, I had 14-year veteran of the Angels, Tim Salmon. We got to talk about his career and what he did over that time with the Angels. And when you talk about the Angels, he played with the California Angels, the Los Angeles Angels, the Anaheim Angels, all 3 teams he got to play for in that 14-year career. But Jung-Hoo Lee, boy, he's been really hot. 20 games, he's 27 for 76. 3 home runs so far. Of course, all those came at Yankee Stadium. 14 RBIs, 10 doubles leading the National League, 3 stolen bases, 8 walks, 12 strikeouts, hitting .355, and he's back in the lineup today hitting third. Just really well when you talk about Jung-Hoo Lee and how he approaches each at bat, loves pushing a ball to left field. We talked a little bit about Ichiro Sasaki, and some of the things that he learned from him. His dad also played in Japan, so he got to learn a little bit about Ichiro Sasaki. And when you talk about some of the things, and you look at his stance and you look at how he hits the ball the opposite way, the stance is unusual. And if you start looking at Korean players, even Japan players, their stances stay back on that back foot so well. They can go the opposite way so good. And then, of course, anything inside, he hits that ball well to right field. All 3 home runs were hit to right field in Yankee Stadium. The defense on the other side, just pristine in the outfield. No errors so far in playing center field. He's back out there today. Today, Yoshi Kikuchi will be pitching against Justin Verlander. Both of them will be looking for their first win. Kikuchi's 0-3 with a 4.1 earned run average. That was in 24 innings, 18 hits, 11 earned runs. He's given up 4 home runs in the 4 starts he's had. 10 walks, 22 strikeouts. You remember Kikuchi played with the Seattle Mariners as well as the Toronto Blue Jays. Justin Verlander on the other side didn't really pitch much last year. That's why kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. Get his feet on the ground. Get him a couple good outings. And he has really pitched well against the Angels in his history with them. Today he's going after his first win. He's 0-1 with a 6.7 earned run average. And that's an 18 2/3 inning. So we'll see if he can bounce back in this game and see if he can go in length. 24 hits, 14 earned runs he's given up. And well, getting through the lineup once, but the second time, I think those are the things that we have to watch out for today in an early afternoon game in California, down in Southern California. When you look at 9 walks, 17 strikeouts, Not bad, but still, when you're looking at 18 and 2/3 innings, he's given up 31 base runners so far, and I think that's one thing he is probably worried about a little bit more, trying to get a nice clean inning here and there, and we'll see if he can do that. When you start looking at breakdowns on Verlander, he's just, when you look at what he's done with the Angels, 17 in his 35th career start, 17 starts against the Angels since 2017. Verlander's 11-3 with a 3.19 earned run average, and that's in 37 earned runs and 104 in the third innings, 123 strikeouts. So he's had some good games against the Angels, and today we'll see if he can tame the Angels and see if they can win the final game of a 3-game series. When you look at what the Giants have done on this road trip, really well against the American League. They're 9-2 overall, and this will be the 12th game. 10-5 on the road, and you look at that and you go, wow, 10-5, they've already played 15 games on the road when you're looking at 21 games played. 10-5, extremely well. And coming home, they're 4-2. They only had one homestand where they played the Reds and the Mariners, and 6 one-run games, 4-2. All the numbers are exceeding all the expectations right now for the San Francisco Giants in the first 21 games. This road trip, 2 out of 3 against the Yankees, split with the Phillies, and today will be the rubber match against the Angels. All right, this is the KNBR Warm-Up Show. We're going to take a quick break, come back with more. My name's Bill Lasky. This is KNBR Sports Radio.
So from 0-2 to 3-2, runner will get a head start. There goes Shonowell, 3-2, swung on and missed. He struck him out with the curve. 9 strikeouts tonight over 7 very impressive innings from Landon Roop. What an effort tonight from the Giants right-hander.
We're getting you in the mood for a crazy crab sandwich, some garlic fries, a cha-cha bowl, and some orange and black baseball. KNBR's Giants warm-up keeps rolling on the sports leader.
All right, welcome back to the KNBR Warm-Up Show. Happy Easter to you and all your family. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Beautiful day here in Northern California, as well as it will be at 1:07. First pitch against Verlander and Kikuchi, the third game, a rubber match. Giants would love to win this one and come home 6-4 off this long road trip of 10 days back in New York and Philadelphia. The elements, the weather, and all the different things they had to get through, and they played well. Good baseball so far. I want to jump into this Landon Roop game a little bit. I got to crack this down yesterday. I did the extra inning post-game show, and some of the things he did, if you're a pitcher, these are the things that pitching should be. It's always say pitching 101. Landon Roop did that. Every inning, 17 pitches or less, and really only 2 innings where he threw 17 and 16. That was the first inning and the fourth inning. But he got ahead of hitters, and when you get ahead of hitters, you can use all different things, even though he only used his sinker and curveball, and the curveball was devastating. Of course, a 12-6 drop, and that last spin, that late spin. The only really mistake he did was Mike Trout. He struck out Mike Trout the first time around in the first inning. He tried to do it again the second time on a 2-1 curveball. Didn't get it down far enough. Of course, Trout hit that, broke out the shutout. He hit that 435 feet out into left field. And then in the sixth inning, he tried to do it again. And he got an 0-1, got him in with a nice sinker. But he tried to throw a changeup. He only threw 8 changeups in the entire game. And that ball's still in left field as Trout hit his second home run, 2 solo home runs. That was 381 feet. Really only 2 mistakes. He really dialed in the whole game, striking out 9, 5 of them on curveballs, 4 of them on sinkers. And going back to the pitch count, first inning, 16 pitches, 10 strikes. He gave up a base hit, but he ended up punching the side out on 2 curveballs and a sinker. The second inning, gave up a base hit, got a nice 5-4 double play by Neto to get out of that inning, where he only threw 11 pitches and 8 strikes. The third inning, really good inning, punching out Paris and Adele on curveballs and inning a fly ball to Ward. That inning, he only pitched 12 pitches and 9 for strikes. The fourth inning, 17 pitches, 9 for strikes. Fifth inning, 11 pitches, 9 for strikes. So you're seeing how these innings kept moving forward. Less pitches, getting in the zone, using his defense. And Patrick Bailey, I thought, threw on him perfect game behind home plate. He used the inside part of the plate and set up the outside corner. A lot of the sinkers on right-handers, he was backdooring them, meaning throwing them on the left-hand side of the plate and then trying to catch them on the outside corner. A lot of right-handers were giving up on that. And then in the bottom of the order, the 7, 8, 9 hitters, he just pounded the inside part of the plate. On Friday, Dell got 3 hits. He didn't do anything yesterday. He punched out, little pop-up to first, and then Tyler Rogers got a ground ball back to him in the 8th inning. Paris, a young player, and he was hitting 306 coming into the game. And Roop just destroyed him. A curveball strikeout, a sinker strikeout, and then came back in the 7th inning with a curveball. Overall numbers were just immaculate when you look at what Landon Roop did yesterday. 96 pitches, 62 for strikes, 43 curveballs. When you start thinking about 96 pitches, 43 curveballs and 42 sinkers. That's right, 85 pitches on just a 2-pitch mix. But it worked, and he mixed it up so well. He only threw 8 changeups and 3 cutters. Both those pitches, he's trying to bring those into his arsenal. It just wasn't comfortable with them. And one changeup, of course, Mike Trout saw that, and he hit that out to left field. But overall, pounding the inside corner, the curveball out of the zone, they swung over it, and a couple here, cutters here and there, but he's just not, feeling right with that pitch yet. I don't think he's 100% in his brain that he can throw it at different times. And And that's the same thing we're going to see about Justin Verlander today with the slow curveball he's working on. Robbie Ray, another one working on a changeup. He really has not displayed that in his 4 starts. So a lot of pitches that pitchers used in spring training and learning to put them in their arsenal, it's just so difficult to use them in a confidence builder in the middle of the game, especially in a tight game that Roop was in yesterday. And then you start looking at Robbie Ray, too many walks, too many pitches out of the zone, overthrows. So we'll see what Robbie Ray does tomorrow at Oracle Park. Let's take a quick look at the scoreboard before we get into the opening of the KNBR pregame show. The Reds are just pounding the Orioles right now, 10-1. That game's in the top of the 4th inning. 10 runs, 11 hits for the Reds. 1 run, 3 hits for the Baltimore Orioles. Orioles are 9-11. They started off so good. The Guardians in Pittsburgh are now winning 2-0. That's in the top of the 6th inning in Pittsburgh. The Braves, boy, it struggles with the Braves. They're beating the Twins now 6-1 in the bottom of the 5th in Atlanta. Atlanta's now 7-13. They started off so bad, of course, playing the Padres and the Dodgers earlier in the year. The Red Sox are 12-10. They're winning against the White Sox 4-2. That's in the bottom of the 5th inning. The Phillies, once again, really playing good against other teams. The Giants went in there and split with them 2-2. They have been beating up Miami pretty regular here. They're going for a sweep today. They're winning 4-1. They're 13-8 now. 4 runs, 7 hits for the Phillies. 1 run, 5 hits for the Marlins. Mariners are beating the Blue Jays in Toronto right now 6-3. And the Royals are beating the Tigers 2-1 in Detroit. That's a good series right there. I think both those teams will be battling in the AL Central. That's in the bottom of the 5th inning. New York Mets are beating the Cardinals 3-0. That's in the bottom of the 5th inning in New York. And in Tampa Bay, there's a no-hitter being put on here. The Yankees are winning 3-0. No-hitters through 5 innings right now, and we'll keep track of that. New York Yankees, again, winning 3-0 in Tampa Bay. The Brewers coming into town have taken a 5-0 lead against the Athletics in Milwaukee. 5 runs, 3 hits for Milwaukee. Milwaukee's coming in here 11-10 right now. And then later in the day, the D-backs and the Cubs, the Dodgers and the Rangers, the Nationals and the Rockies, and then the Padres and the Astros. But we'll get you ready for the 107 first pitch. Verlander against Kikuchi. This is the KNBR warm-up show. More coming up next on KNBR, the sports leader.
Don't miss a second of the action from Bomel Squad. Listen to the best double plays in the business.
Wisely has it, flips to Fitzgerald for 1, over to first, double play.
Plays at the plate.
Freeman hits a high chopper to Chapman. He's got it. He's coming home, and the throw in the tag, and they got him.
Sean Miller's home run call.
There's a shot deep down the left field line. It's on its way for Berkeley. Adios, pelota.
All season long on the San Francisco Giants Radio Network.